Hello. Hi, on this totally normal Tuesday. How's everybody doing? We got some Mega Man music. We are going to just write a bunch of code and not think about anything else for the next 5 hours or so. So, welcome on in. Thanks for being here. Hope you've done all of your homework and errands for the day. If not, maybe go do that and then come on back. And yeah, good to see you, Patrick. Welcome in, Seven. Welcome in, Anthrax. Good job on first, Anthrax. And yeah, we're gonna see if we can just shove all of our viewers away, get them to go do everything they need to do today, and then they can come back and relax, and we'll just be vibing. Oh no, did I forget my coffee downstairs? Um, all right, we're in a bit of a pickle. Um, good luck out there, Anthrax. Hope you do great. Um, I probably cannot make it through a 5 hour stream without at least my second cup of coffee. And also, there's a neighborhood cat that has been hanging out on our back porch. We have a nice, it's a papasan chair out there, and it's very, very comfy. We have a huge neighborhood cat that sleeps in that chair, and my cat is extremely terrified of him. So I've gone down and scared him away a couple times this morning. But I'm gonna put some stuff up. I'm gonna run down. I'm gonna grab my coffee, and I'll just like plaster something against the door, so my cat can't see him if he comes back, and I don't need to leave stream to deal with that. But yes, be right back 1 minute. Thank you. I'm glad it's an exciting stream so far. Be right back, my friends. Well, that was easy. Hope everyone posted their most vile food combinations. Um, Fun fact, I once made macaroni and cheese with strawberry cream cheese instead of milk because I didn't have milk and I was a poor college student and didn't have money for anything else, so I made do with what I had. And it was delicious. Whew, out of breath real fast, just ran down the stairs and back up. So give me just 1 second. But yeah, my wife and I bought a pasta making machine a few months ago, and in order to make pasta, we needed a big flat surface that we don't have with our kitchen counter because it's tile and stuff. So we bought a huge cutting board that's like 4 feet long and like 3 feet wide. So I just put that up against the door so the cat can't see the other cat. Let's see. Let me catch up on some of this chat. We got the most epic Mega Man music playing, so it feels so epic to read all this. Patrick is still working. Good, good, good. Get that job done, I suppose. Streamers away. You haven't seen this Be Right Back screen, Tony. Did I use the right one? Is it this one? I think that was one of the first ones that I made, but I probably don't use it too often because once I sit down for a stream, I'm like, all right, this is what I'm doing for 6 hours or so, except for bathroom breaks. was Ninja, the pasta making machine. I haven't actually purchased the Ninja. I don't know if he's for sale. But I hear his pasta is probably good. Maybe. But we made our own pasta and it was delicious. So who needs him? French fries and mayo. Great combination. Probably underrated combination. But the thing is, when you go to places like the Netherlands and other places that have French fries and mayo as a regular option, you go to the little hole in the wall store and they give you the cup of fries and they're like, what sauce do you want on it? They usually also have peanut butter sauce, and French fries and mayo is good, but French fries and peanut butter sauce on it? Why would you get mayo when that's an option? And mayo counts as a vile food combination. That's fair for most things. I think Cozy dislikes mayo more than I do, but it's not the greatest unless it's very small quantities on things. Let's see. You never paid attention to it. Yeah, I usually send people away when I'm BRB anyway, so that's all good. I don't know if that sound effect was from Twitch, like a follow or something, or if it was actually part of the song. So that's an exciting sound. Hey Human, welcome on in. We're getting started. We started a little bit early, and as I was starting, I was like, you know what? This will let people in other countries tune in a little bit sooner. Hope you're feeling better. I know you're still recovering a little bit, so happy to have you here. Oh, it was you subbed. Oh, thank you so much. That's what that sound was. I hadn't caught up in the chat. We got the whole gang here. We are gonna just hang out and chill and code and not F5 browser tabs all day. So yeah, let's get into some code. I don't know who all was here last week, but we built some cool stuff. I'll show it off in a second. This is the soundtrack we're listening to right now. We are making our way through it. We'll probably need to queue up something afterwards. So if anybody has recommendations, hit me with it. Fun fact, I just learned you can turn on private sessions in Spotify. I don't know what you guys use almost everyone in here is a streamer of some sort. But I don't know what you guys use for playing music, but my Spotify has been absolutely destroyed by all the video game music that I play on streams. Like if I get in my car and turn on the DJ, it gives me video game music, and I bet my Spotify Wrapped is going to give me video game music. But if you turn on a private session, it apparently excludes everything that you listen to during that session from your algorithm and also your Spotify Wrapped. So I'm going to try that and hopefully take control of my Spotify again so I can actually listen to other music. Yeah, I found that out today. Let's see what we got here. I just linked the message to my wife, and I don't want to bring that Discord into view. But basically it says what private sessions do, it prevents people from seeing it in like the friends menu, but it also prevents it from being used in all Spotify's algorithms for new music recommendations, daily mixes, Discover Weekly, or factoring into your Spotify Wrapped. So huge tip for all y'all who have had your Spotify destroyed. You just hit it with a little private session up here. Bam. Would have been helpful 2 years ago. Yes, I was wondering if I needed to like have a separate Spotify account or like use YouTube or something like that. But glad that exists. It's like an incognito window in Spotify, I guess. And I'll show off what we built last week. It's very, very cool. I also want to go through just like before I get started on stuff, I want to see if there's anything that I want to grab, like that I specifically want to do on stream, and make sure that all the stuff that we already did gets marked as done. But I can show off what we built last week. basically we have built a system that gives all of our NPCs an internal monologue. So they have a bit of sensory input based on the objects nearby them. They basically fire out raycasts in every direction. There's like a unit sphere. And then we hit all the colliders. We calculate distance to everything. We put that all in with a context of like, here's what's nearby to you. And we pass in, let me actually just grab this prompt so I can show it off. Decide what to do, I think is what we called it. Decide. Decide on an action to do. So we prompt these NPCs repeatedly in their head saying, here's some stuff, blah, blah, blah. Here's what you're going to do in this prompt. Here's all the actions you can take, which we'll show off in a second. We give them their personality, a list of everything nearby, a history of the actions they've recently taken. Tony in the chat is working on semantic search, so we can also query in their memories. So if they have like anything specific that they see or like want to query memories on, we'll probably turn that into an action itself. It was just like, give me more context about something. But there's a lot of like context already. They use this whenever they don't have a action that they're currently doing. We basically ask them like, hey, what do you want to be doing right now? And then they queue that up. While they're off doing that, they're queuing up and thinking about their next action. I will show that off real fast. We've got it rigged up on this guy just alone. And I'm realizing we are not standing anywhere near him. So we'll run over there. We've also done a lot of work out in the world, like lots of decorating and stuff off camera. I made that world tree even bigger. So Collider's a little bit broken right now, but it's also kind of interesting and weird that you can interact with it from like a really far distance, I guess. But we'll run over to that NPC. I'll show it off. The brains of all the NPCs are also hooked up to pause and play based on how far they are to the player. So he's not actually going to be doing anything until we get over there. Let's see here. Quickly going to finish some animation stuff. Need to concentrate. No worries, no worries. Should have that finished today. Excellent, excellent, and good work. Thank you. So we made this tree even larger. We fixed a bunch of bugs. You can now harvest from the ground. You can harvest from objects that you're standing next to. Lots of really nasty bugs that kind of crept up from... maybe I can show it off later, but specifically, we used to in the game have like you need to click every time to move, but we wanted to add being able to hold to click, and we probably just need like some sort of interaction timer cooldown or something. I had to switch it back to click every time to move in order to get like the issues with interacting with stuff right next to you resolving. It's a weird like race condition of trying to move there and interact there at the same time, because usually people have the mouse down for more than one frame, so that first frame they interact and then the second frame mouse is still down, so they're trying to move there. There's some stuff we'll do there, but yeah, this is our gigantic tree, even bigger than it was before. We're gonna run over to that NPC. I'll show off cool stuff. And I also kind of just want to run over there manually instead of placing my character there, because I haven't really played a lot since moving back to click to move rather than hold to move. And I want to see how painful it is, really. Just tie hold to click to your frame rate. I hear tying things to frame rate goes great. You know, we probably could meme on that a little bit. Do that and see how it goes. I bet there are some interesting mechanics of tying things to your frame rate, especially like single player games where you don't really need to sync those sort of actions between. I don't know where we're going. Is it on the other side? I feel like it is. Yeah, we'll go this way. But there's a couple different approaches that I've thought about implementing to fix it, but neither of them are very good, I'd say. Like, they each have edge conditions. What's going on here? Where are we at? Where is this guy? Oh, right. He's like way back in this forest. Okay. Well, our fog's looking good. Tying things to your frame rate notoriously really messed up the Risk of Rain 2 Seekers of the Storm DLC. Interesting. What did they tie to the frame rate? I know that people were really into Risk of Rain, probably both of them, but I never actually played it. I didn't really like the aesthetics as much. Everything was tied to frame rate. I see. Huh. Okay, yeah. I mean, I can see how that would mess things up. A lot of times when you play like old retro games or something, they have a lot of stuff tied to the frame rate as well. Let me turn this guy off by getting too far away. So you kind of see that in a lot of the older games too. But we are close enough for this guy to turn his brain on now, which is kind of crazy. We still need to mess with some like tree colliders. This is actually pretty painful. We are also considering like WASDA movement at some point. Just to see if it fits better in the game. But I don't know why this went diagonal. Let's see. So he's headed home. We have some debug stuff of just like the action he's doing, how many actions he's already thought that he wants to do, how many memories he's made. I feel like this is going even more and more vertical as this goes, but maybe not. But yeah, he basically sees everything around him. He's like, I want to check out this barrel. And then he has that memory, that action history saying like he's checked out the barrel, so he's not going to check it out again. We still need to implement like harvesting on his behalf. So like if we go over and harvest from this barrel using our bare hands, we will get an item. We probably don't want them doing this sort of like research thing where it's generating the items, but now that this barrel has a recipe for what you get when you use your bare hands on it, he should be able to walk over and use his bare hands on it as well. I'll check myself into jail for that one. But yeah, we worked on this guy last week. He's just a one-off. We still need to add some of this to like all the other NPCs in town. There's a few more actions that we want to implement on him. We basically rigged it up so every brain lets you specify what actions that brain can do. So here, if we can click on him, we've defined like he can walk around randomly, he can move closer to something he sees, he can interact with things he sees, he can inspect things, which is where he generates those memories. That's where he'll probably query his existing memories to get more context for the next prompt. He can talk to the player. We're going to also have him be able to talk to other NPCs, and he can go home, which is hard-coded to here for him, which I'm realizing we probably want to rename that because these are all global across all NPCs. Or actually, go home is actually coded to wherever your initial start point is. That's where that NPC will go to. That was a mouthful to say. Gravity, yup. Enemy accuracy, somehow, yup. Interesting. Enemy spawn rate, yup. Damage calculations, somehow, yup. Entire physics engine. I believe the physics engine for sure. Very easy to accidentally tie that to your frame rate, but the rest of it is absolutely insane. And they are bonkers. If you do WASDA movement, it opens the gates for potential future flight. I mean, that's actually a really good point. I hadn't considered like click to move. You can't click in the air. So flight as an entire mechanic is probably pretty hard to do if you're just click to move. I know Tony prefers WASDA a lot of times, and we also want to like migrate to the new Unity input system that lets you kind of abstract all this away and define your own control schemes. So with that, we'd want to also enable like a joystick, which should be pretty easy with mapping to WASDA. A lot easier than like going from click to move and click to interact and all that to a joystick or a controller. Basically anything time related was set to frame rate. Oopsies. Wow. But yeah, let's, I think a good thing to start with, I guess, on stream, we have all these implemented except for interact with object. And I think I started that off stream, but I never actually finished it. So before we fly over to this other town and just add actions and brain to all the other NPCs, let's at least finish this one action that we have left. And then I want to do some other actions as well. Like we have a couple traveling merchants that I want to be able to walk from town to town, so we can add actions specifically for like walk to this town, walk to this town, and we can enable them on his brain, which he doesn't have any actions, but when we add one, we'll have like, we can enable walk to the settlement town, walk to the big city town, and then this guy we can just have him basically going from town to town every day. And we'll probably need something where he is still active outside of his brain's activation range, which is pretty big range, but you don't want him like leaving town and then leaving that range and just standing there. You want him actually walking to the other town. So let's go ahead and let's just write some code. So let's head back to this guy. Let's go ahead and disable all of his actions so that we can force him to interact with stuff. That's all we want him to do. And let's go look at that code, which is action interact with object. Let's clean this editor up a little bit. All right, so when the AI in his brain decides that the action he wants to do is interact with object, we will get a little bit of metadata from that. We'll get a target for what he wants to interact with, which I'm realizing we're not passing through here. Decided action dot target is where what we would want. Oh, okay, we are. We're just making sure that that target has a generic interactable entity on it, so it'll have a interact method that we can call from the NPC's perspective. So it's going to be the same like flow as if the player had clicked on something. This Mega Man music makes me want to stop working and try making more chiptunes again. Heck yeah, I saw some of the chiptunes, or the 2 chiptunes you were posting in Discord last night, and I had also been meaning to, well, one, I need to do sound like in general in this game, but we have a couple like background tracks that I generated. I was really tempted to try some chiptunes for like a background music or like generate other stuff. So I went over to Suno to make some, and I made like probably 15 songs of varying prompts, blah, blah, blah. And they were all just so garbage. I was like, none of these are going to work. I got to try chiptunes so I'm in control. But I'm not paying for Suno, so I don't know if like that gets you a better quality. Welcome back, Human. How'd the animation go? Did you complete it? Let's go ahead and do this, I suppose. So what we need to do, the interact with object is one where they need to be next to an object to interact with it. So we have a little bit of decomposition here where if they're too far from the object, well, I guess first of all, if they're extremely far from the object, we just cancel the action on their behalf anyway. So like there's some edge cases where they can get into like they want to interact with the player or another entity that's moving away from them. So you don't want them chasing them across the whole map. So if they get a certain distance away, we just go ahead and cancel this and move on to something else. But if they are within range, we will go ahead and simulate that harvest by looking up the recipe and just giving them the item. We'll do that in a sec. But the decomposition aspect, which makes things a little bit weirder, is if they're not in range to interact with an object, we queued this action back into their brain stack, and then queue another action on top of that to move to this object's point, or this object's location. So this will trigger first, where they'll move to it, and then they'll try and interact again, and then hopefully they'll be within range. So it's a little bit of a weird way to do it, so I might rework it, but that's how we're getting close enough to interact with stuff without like managing all that movement and stuff in the game, or in the action itself. We're kicking it off to another action. You completed a walking cycle animation. Heck yeah. Good job. For one of the like creatures in your game, I know it's a first person game, so I can't imagine you're animating the player unless it's like their feet or something, but that's cool. I think for anybody who doesn't know, Human in the chat is working on a horror game, and the last few weeks or maybe the months, he's added in some wild creatures, and every time I see his stream, they look so cool. I would recommend checking them out. Let's see here. You could attempt to make something like RuneScape. The program I used is free and open source if you want to use it. I probably will. I got the name on Discord, but I didn't download it yet. I followed along with the demo in the README, and in an hour or two, I was super comfortable with the program. Nice. That seems pretty easy to use. I feel like I would have a lot of difficulty in the actual like music creation part and like deciding what sounds good and figuring out notes and stuff. But it's nice to know the program is easy to use. And let me actually, since we're chatting about it, let me grab that name real fast. Oh, you posted it in the Discord. Cool. For anybody who wants a link to that, here's a link to the Discord. It's in the general chat, but it's called Furnace, open source chiptune music creator. So that'll be nice to check out. Let's see. When you say stack, is it like Magic the Gathering stacks? Yes. Magic the Gathering stacks are a great example of the computer science stack data structure. It works almost exactly the same. Because in Magic, you can't insert anything like inside the stack, right? It's always just putting it on top, and then when the opponent like counters, they put that on top so it resolves, and then you get back and you can get back down and then add more stuff to the stack. That's a perfect example of a stack there. So yeah, we're basically playing Magic the Gathering here in NPC Brains, I guess. Just animating the player hands, but it's just practice. Okay. I posted in the showcase channel in my Discord server in case you want to see. I'll check it out for sure. Let me grab that. Gotta find your server. I just reorganized all my Discord servers and I don't know where anything went anymore. Let's see. I will find it. Oh, there you are. Akamori Enterprise Showcase. Let's show off what Human is working on here. His nice practice. That is a very smooth animation, actually. Nice. Do you use like inverse kinetics or anything for the arms, like, or is it just pure animation there? I guess yeah, in a first person game you wouldn't, but that's super cool. I like that. That's cool. Oh, I did not even notice my Discord was blowing up. I disable notifications whenever I go live, so this is fun. I'll check all that later. Let's see here. Just shared the link in Discord if anybody wants to download it. Perfect. I played Magic the Gathering only once or twice, but it's a reference I know. Yeah, I'm surprised you haven't played more Magic, to be honest. 7. It's a fun game. I like it. Of all the like TCGs, I think it's my favorite. I just started playing the Pokemon one that just came out, Pokemon Pocket or something. And I like the aspect of like collecting the cards and getting free packs every day. But the game itself, like the Pokemon TCG, is very... There's some strategy to playing well, but there's not a lot of like strategy to deck building. The decks are really small, like 20 cards, and then like 6 or 8 of those cards are usually like auto includes that you put in every deck. So very, very small strategy, at least in the current cards. And it's not really scratching the Magic itch for me. But yeah, Magic it's pretty expensive. Even if you play like free to play online Magic Arena, you don't have the greatest time. I used to go to Magic tournaments, and before the tournament, I would go to like, they're usually at card stores, and those card stores usually have 10-cent boxes where you can buy any like common or uncommon card for 10 cents. And I would build a deck for the tournament from that box, play, and then leave. And I actually won one tournament that way, but most of the times you get destroyed by people who have really expensive cards. All right. It's always on top, then resolves top down. What was I talking about? Maybe the animation or the music. I'll come back to that. But yeah, Human, your animation is great. Thanks for sharing it. You use inverse kinematics. I basically just animate the gun movement and the hands move accordingly after attaching them once correctly to the hand. That's so cool. That's something that I haven't done at all. I haven't even done like a lot of basic animation, but I think that is like, when I think about making really cool creatures and stuff in my game, doing like inverse kinematics with the legs and like moving the feet, like would make some cool spiders, make some cool like really interesting creatures, I think. So it's something I want to explore more of. Pokemon TCG is comically power crept. I believe that. I mean, they have the like original set in the game right now, and you'll notice that everything is just like, it's a really basic math problem. Like they have a spread of cards where it's like there's a baseline of, I don't know the actual numbers, but like 60 HP and an attack that does 20 damage. And then they'll have a card where it's like, oh, they have plus 10 HP and they do 10 less damage. They have a card where it's plus 20 XP or HP and a attack that does less damage. So you're basically just doing this like really basic math, and there's not really a lot of like strategy there outside of like chess style look ahead. But I can definitely see where they would run into a dead end and just need to power creep, need to add abilities, need to add like a bigger spread of numbers. So I vibe with that. I can imagine it's going to get wild. So I haven't even like played the game much. I've mostly just been opening packs to like collect Pokemon. I love seeing those numbers go up, fill out that Pokedex, you know how it is. Play Magic Arena online. Yeah. It's still, I mean, yeah, I think they do some cheaper events and stuff now too, so that's nice. Pokemon TCG decks were 60 cards. They might be 60 cards traditionally, because I also thought there were like 6 prize points that you had to win, but in the Pocket version that just came out, there's only 3 points that you need to win, and the decks are 20 cards, so they might have simplified it that way too. I'm interested to see if they'll add like other game modes or something like that that kind of expands the game a little bit. Let's see here. I was talking about the stack in Magic the Gathering. Oh, yes. Resolves top down. For sure. That's how stacks work. Thank you for clarifying. Has anybody played the new TCG Shop Simulator game yet? I have not, but I really, really want to play it. And I think if Pokemon hadn't just come out, I probably would have played it. Because it gives Pokemon vibes when you open those packs. I might still play it because I don't know if I'll stick around with Pokemon, but it seems so fun. I love simulator games. I love shop simulator games, and I love opening packs. I love watching numbers go up. I love like business simulator games. It has everything that I want just shoved together. So maybe I'll stream it one of these days. It seems really fun. After the Store Together simulator, I quit playing these games altogether. Oof. I haven't seen the Store Together simulator. What was that about? Is it just like a generic store? I'm going to also try and multitask. I love chatting with you guys, and I'm going to do my best to also write some code. So what we want to do when we actually harvest from an object, I'm writing the exact same line. So we're going to have two cases where one, we have a tool that has a recipe, tool in inventory that has a recipe with this object, or we have bare hands that has a recipe with this object. So if we just add like bare hands as a inventory item, we can kind of treat that both of those as the same case. But basically what we're going to do is look through any existing recipes that use this object and add item in the inventory, and then we will wait for some amount of time, play an animation, etc., to like show the player that they're harvesting, and then we will give that resulting item to the NPC and call the action done. So we will do that. So the little research, the current highest HP in Pokemon TCG is 340, which is insane. And the first set had Charizard at 120 HP as I think the highest. I've seen, I think 180 in this game so far. It might be like the first few sets because it's not just the first 150 Pokemon, but like Mewtwo is 150. I think Blastoise might be 180. But there's definitely something in there that's big, and I imagine it is very much a game of like, do you have the most expensive card? Do you have the best card? There are cards that are strictly better than others, so I don't really like that. But yeah, I imagine it's just gonna get. That's how they sell you more packs, right? The numbers are gonna get bigger. You got to get the better cards in order to keep playing as well. Basically, you open up a store with friends, and then you build your store, order goods, order them in shelves, sell stuff to customers, and so on. You unlock more expensive goods, and you make more money. Then you buy larger space for your shop, then again, more expensive goods, and so on and so on. Is it multiplayer? I mean, that sounds like it could be fun, but it does seem a little generic. I think the card shop might tickle my fancy a little bit more, but I guess the generic one lets you tell your own story too. Gets repetitive very fast. That makes sense, especially without like a good story. Blastoise is your favorite Pokemon. Okay. Were you a Squirtle starter every time? I was always a Bulbasaur starter, and I got so much trash from all my friends in school because they all picked Charmander, and then obviously Charmander's good against Bulbasaur, so they thought I was trash. And you can hit customers with a broom. You can't forget that in a game. You need that. That's interesting. I've seen in TCG Simulator or the Card Shop Simulator, you can like throw boxes. So I've seen at least one person that I've watched play it. They'll just throw all the boxes in the street, like across the street, and just build a giant mountain of boxes. There's some wild stuff. My first generation Pokemon game was yellow, so I could only choose Pikachu. Uh-oh. My first generation was blue, I think. Bulbasaur every time. That's what you gotta do. But I would hang out in Viridian Forest, like one of the very first areas, for a long time to make sure I always got a Pikachu there. Are you going to be able to mine the NPCs in this game? Probably not. However, we might. Right now, when you click on an NPC, you talk to them, which is a separate code path from clicking on an object to interact with it. But we could add, like, things are set up in such a way that if we wanted to allow players to harvest from an NPC using whatever item they wanted, they could. We just haven't really enabled that. But functionally, it would be like a 2-line change to allow it. We absolutely could. So maybe, especially now that we have like NPC memories and stuff, what we could do is allow players to like harvest from an NPC and then turn that into a memory on the NPC. So if you harvest like using a pickaxe or something that probably harms them, they would remember that and not like you as much. But if you harvested using like a dream catcher tool or something, especially after they told you that they were like having nightmares or something, they could like you more. So it's an interesting idea. I think right in here, well, I'm not sure exactly where offhand. Somewhere in our code, we have a little branch saying when you're interacting with this thing, if it's it's all polymorphism, so we call interact on it, and generic interactable NPC has a interact method on it that starts a conversation. Generic interactable objects has an interact method that harvests from it. But we could just cast to an object and harvest, and it's all the same like state and variables, so we would be able to harvest from this guy. Or we could even just add like an extra script on him to make him also harvestable. Just add generic interactable NPC and generic interactable world object. But that is a really interesting idea of like, as we transition these NPCs into more state-based logic, like we probably want to rework the quest generation and stuff next week or so and have one of the actions they can do to like really sit down and consider their situation, consider their memories, think more about specific things, and then come up with a plot or a quest for the player. Likewise, we probably want the inverse of like having an action for them to decide like, hey, has my problem been resolved? And that could either be a memory of the player gave them the right item, which it is right now, or it could be like their problem was that they are having nightmares, and then the player interacted with them using a dream catcher, and they see that as a memory, and they're like, you know what, my problem is solved now. I'm not having nightmares anymore. I think we've reached the point where it's just sound effects. Yeah, 3.5 minutes of game sound effects. Excellent. Which also means we are at the end of the album. So if anybody has another probably retro-ish game you want an album to, hit me up and we will cue that up next. Sound effects are your jam. Let's see. Yes. Patrick, you're a cool dude. Human, you're a cool dude. Everybody here is cool. I don't know what Spoofy has, but anything Fire Emblem goes hard. You got it. Let's see what they have after I undo this error. Fire Emblem OST. 3 houses. I know you like 3 houses. We're up next after these amazing sound effects. I dig it. All right, big Blastoise fan, but if I were a Pokemon, I'd definitely be a Totodile. Totodile, really? I'm picking Ghastly for me. All right, let's we got ourselves a little distracted. So here's what we're gonna do. So all of our items in our inventory, list item, items in inventory is our persona dot is our oh, okay, we already have an inventory then. Inventory dot item list. Cool. Let's also prepend bare hands because we treat that as an item as well, and we also want that to be first, so we check that first. Let's say dot prepend item database dot instance dot find item bare hands. That's our secret special item that the player uses when their tool belt is empty and they try and interact with something. We fall back on bare hands so we can store like that in the recipe database instead of a null or something. All right, so now we can say let's go down here. So for each item in items in inventory, we want to check to see if an item object recipe exists for this item. So that is get tool object result. Cool, yeah, so we started down here. So now we can say if result is not null. Wow, they really copying my style of comment here. Okay, so let's skip all that. So if we have something that they can simulate an interaction with, then for now, let's say to do wait for the harvest to complete, to do play harvest animation, but we can go ahead and just give them the item and return immediately. That'll be fine. So let's say inventory dot add item result and amount 1 because I'm pretty sure we always harvest 1. This is going to be an item name. Yeah, so I guess we need to also... It's a little iffy to just assume that that item name has been created, but we will do it for now. So let's do item database instance find item of result. Let's rename this to resulting item name, and that should work. They don't have a notion, like a indicator of which objects that they can and can't interact with. However, what we can do is say, like, if the NPC was unable to interact with this object at all, just form a memory, and that should dissuade them from trying to interact with it again. For the most part, they might try again later, but that's good, I would say, because there might be new recipes at that point. So now, since we returned early, let's make that a little bit more verbose and say like bool found item to harvest with is false. Let's say found item to harvest with is true. Let's not return, but we do want to break out of that loop so we're not harvesting with every item we can. But here we can say if, we can add memories for either case too. Found item to harvest with, then how do we add memories again? Oh, right. Brain.add memory, new memory. If I can type memory, I harvested a... Oh, right. This is out of scope. So let's do this. New brain memory. I tried to harvest from a target.get display name, but couldn't figure out how. So, for example, they might show up to like a barrel and say, I want to harvest from this. But if there's no recipes, instead of getting an item, they'll get a memory that says, I tried to harvest from a barrel, but couldn't figure out how. And then later, when they're like inspecting the barrel or like forming other decisions, they can have that memory as context of, I tried, but I couldn't figure it out. So here we can say brain.add memory. I harvested a resulting item name from a barrel. And then that could be a useful memory if like they're in conversation with the player says like, hey, I need a lemon. Do you know where I can find one? They can search their memories for lemon. And if they got a lemon from a barrel, for example, it would return this memory, and that memory can be added to the conversation context, which then lets them generate conversation that says like, oh yeah, I found a lemon in a barrel. And then the player's like, oh, okay, I'll go inspect the barrel, or I'll go harvest from the barrel. They'll get their lemon as well. We are going to duplicate memories this way. Like, it'll be the same memory every time. They'll have different timestamps, but I don't know if Tony's in the chat, but is that fine to do? I know you're working on the memories. We can always filter it out later, but we'll see. This is definitely a bunch of remixes of Three Houses OST, but it still goes hard. Okay, cool. Oh yeah, they definitely look like remixes, but I dig it. They've been a bop so far. We can find something more traditional next time. By the way, are you going to participate in Bracky's Game Jam? I don't know. I've been itching to do a game jam recently. I don't know when it starts, but maybe if I'm around and have time. I know we're crunching hard to get this demo out now, but you know, if it's good timing, I would love to. Absolutely. Are you, Human? All right, Tony. So here's a problem. I mean, not a problem. Here's just what I said. So we're having NPCs interact with objects in the world. So this bear walks over and harvests from this barrel. So there's two branching points here of either there's a recipe in the game already that lets them get an item back. For example, like if there's a recipe for using your bare hands on a barrel gives you a lemon. He's going to get a lemon. The other branch is there's no recipe and he gets nothing. In both cases, what I'm doing is adding a memory of either I harvested from a barrel and I got a lemon, or I tried to harvest from a barrel and I couldn't figure out what to do. Like I couldn't figure out how to do it. And the thought process is that if the player walks up to them later and says like, hey, do you know where I can find any lemons? He would be able to search his memories for that phrase like, hey, do you know where I can find any lemons? And he'd be able to find that memory of like, oh, I harvested from a barrel and I found a lemon. So he could tell the player, hey, there's lemons in the barrel around here. That seems reasonable. So the question is, every time he harvests from that barrel, he's forming the same memory. Is that a problem? I mean, it's obviously like duplicated memories and data and storage and all that, but like, is that fine? I'm sure it is. Like, if he harvests from that barrel 10 times, he's going to have the same, I harvested from a barrel and got a lemon 10 times. Seems fine, other than like the wasted storage and memory and stuff, but just wanted to make sure if you were around. Are you still feeling like we shouldn't let the NPCs create recipes? Yes. Yeah, I think we should hold off on letting them create their own recipes for now. I think we should hard code in a lot of bare hands recipes for a lot of the objects in the game, so there'll always be something to fall back on. But yeah, I think they should only be able to harvest from stuff if there's already a recipe. And actually, I pre-pinned bare hands here to like ensure that always hit first, but I think we should actually append. So if they have any tools in their inventory where there's a recipe, they'll use those first. Otherwise, they'll fall back on bare hands. Will it record the exact same memory, or will they be different somehow? They will be the exact same memory because they're getting the exact same item. I mean, they'll have different like timestamps, but I don't know like how we would make them, like what we would even say to make them different. And even like, do we want to do that? Like if he harvests from this barrel, first memory could be like, I harvested from this barrel and I got a lemon. Second memory, I guess, could be like, I harvested from this barrel again and got a lemon. But I feel like it's fine to just, like, it's not a super important memory. I think, yeah, if you can filter out duplicates or something, that would be great. We could also, I mean, it is just a list of memories in our memory storage, I think. Oh, right, it's in the database. Yeah, we could even filter out database or duplicates in the insertion phase, like here. We would add to the insert time to like loop through and make sure that we don't already have a memory at that point. Or we could add to the lookup time to filter out the duplicates at that time. But if like semantic search is just going to go over everything, it probably makes the search a little bit slower to have more memories to go over. But yeah, it depends on how we want to do the duplicates. We don't need to decide it here. I think we can always tweak how these memories are formed as well. So it's no worries. With multiple timestamps. Yeah. So I'm just gonna I'll probably go ham on just inserting as many memories as I can everywhere for now, just so we have a lot of like memories to search and test with. And then we can filter out, like if we're like, this memory is kind of dumb, we don't need this, we can just nix it and they don't need to form memories that way. But I'm probably going to go overboard on all the memories we're forming just so we have cool stuff to query. Cool. Sounds good. Alrighty, so what we have done is we've built an item list. For all those items, we go and see if there's any recipe to interact with that item. And if there is, then we harvest it and form a memory that we got it. Cool. So if there's nothing, we also form a memory. That's fine. Is there anything else that we needed to do? So we can delete all of this. We got to call the action done, of course. So we have is complete, which we will just set here. And I guess whether we were able to harvest or not, it'll still be done either way. And we'll have like the waiting and animation and stuff happen before all this fires. We might need to plop it over into like a coroutine or something, but we might have issues with that because this isn't a mono behavior. I don't think. No. Okay. We might need to re-architect some stuff in order to wait X amount of frames. But for now, seems fine. So here, do the harvest, blah, 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 is complete trues, yada. I don't think that we need any of this because we're now kicking it over to move to a specific coordinate, which sets a stopping distance equal to that stopping distance. So let's, oh, okay. Let's give a stopping distance of our entity.interaction range, or whatever we have, target.interaction range, yeah. Because we don't want to actually move to the exact point that that entity is on. Like, we just want to get close enough that we can interact with it. We don't want to be inside the tree. We want to be next to the tree. Cool. So I think this should theoretically work. There was a lot of code cleanup because we were just kind of spitballing stuff off camera. But the only to-do on it is like the weighting, the state, and like visuals. But I want to see if things work. And in order to do that, we probably need to add some quick recipes real fast. Maybe. You know what? We can just generate them during the game or run over and harvest with our bare hands, so he'll be able to harvest after that. And we add that item to his inventory, so we should be able to go open the shop tab in his conversation window, see he has an empty inventory, and then interact with stuff, wait for him to interact with that same stuff. Oh, we're not even near him. I'm just going to move the player this time. And then he should be getting new items in his inventory. My nose itches so bad. My mic is super like soft. I don't want to touch it because this isn't an ASMR stream, but it's super soft. And my white cat, who's asleep on a little floof just outside of camera, she always rubs her face on my mic, just like anytime she's on my desk. And so it's full of like cat hair. And so when I'm streaming, my face is all up in it and it just itches my nose so much. All right, so let's do this. One, we need to grab our player, bring him back over so we don't need to walk this whole distance again. We are going over here. Put them on the nav mesh. Cool, cool, cool. I don't think that there's a good way for us to... Yeah, we're still adding recipes from the code manually. We don't have like an editor for it. But I think what we can do is just, let's talk to this guy. And we should see him trying to interact with stuff originally. And he'll probably form a lot of memories that way of like, oh, I was unable to interact with it. And then we will check his shop tab, make sure his inventory is empty. Let's see. He has nothing in his inventory. Cool. Close all these windows. So now we want to interact with stuff. Let's do Tombstone because he'll probably be over here. He always comes over here. So we want to research these in order to basically generate those recipes. So yeah, now he's coming over to the Tombstone. We got a rubbing of an ancient inscription. He's made 6 memories already from trying to interact with stuff. Let's do the barrel as well. Yeah, so he was unable to find that. Now, hopefully he's going to the Tombstone. And he probably got an item there. So what we can do is now go talk to him. When he comes out of this collider, we kind of need to figure out a solution for that. Talk to... What items? Okay, no items. Huh. So he should have been able to harvest from that Tombstone. I wonder why. And I guess what I can do is probably inspect his memories. I imagine it's just going to be just him saying, like, I couldn't figure out harvest from things. We can't actually because we're using a dictionary, right? We have it keyed on his name, but you can't see dictionaries in the editor. So how do we want to do this? So the possible problems here are, one, he's not looking up the recipes correctly, or two, we're not adding them to his inventory correctly, or three, we're not redrawing his NPC inventory window afterwards. So let's go ahead and wonder if I can just attach mid playing and stick a breakpoint here. Oh, we got, so it's still trying to attach or something. What you doing, Unity? Maybe we shouldn't try and attach mid-game. But what we'll look for is, this will be a good breakpoint for, he is able, we did find a recipe. That's kind of what we want to find. So let's actually stop this. Let's close this game. I should probably change all the trees to use mesh colliders. They're so painful sometimes to try and click through the big sphere colliders they have, or capsule colliders. We'll do that later, but let's go ahead and stop this, get it attached, then we'll play, and let's see if we can trigger this. But in the meantime, let's add, okay, we have adding a memory 4 with the memory text, so we can use that. Attach, play. Still playing. Alright, so we need to interact with a few things first because he needs recipes in order to trigger that code breakpoint. Cool. Let's preempt the tombstone. Just generate all the recipes we can, I guess. Do our stump. And I guess let's bring this console over. Let's do adding a memory. Okay, tried to harvest from. He's forming the right memories. From a pumpkin. Sure. How about an oak tree? Where you at over there? You gonna do all those pumpkins? You really intent on harvesting from this well. Okay, well has a recipe now. Let's just pick up the bucket, I guess. Maple tree, where are you going, bud? Oh, I'm just realizing we never redraw this window when it's open. We should probably do that. Alright, bud. Let me through. Bush. Alright, he's probably going to hit up the pumpkins. Are you stuck? Can we unstick him? You know what? We can just get rid of that rock he's stuck on. Maybe. Oh, right. The collider is still there. We can shove him around, I guess. Come on, get. What you doing? Almost everything should be. Maybe the scarecrow. Where are you going? Mossy boulder. Oh, yeah, we did just disable that, didn't we? Oh, right, and I think the collider on that is super off too. So mossy boulder, interaction range. Let's do like 4. Okay. Trying to harvest from a mossy boulder. Sure. Okay, now you can. He's going to a pumpkin. This is going to be it. Trying to harvest from a pumpkin. Couldn't figure out how. Okay. Trying to harvest from a player. Sure. But there is a recipe for the pumpkin. So we have a bug. So let's mark this guy a little bit further up. Let's resume. He's going to hit a pumpkin again. All right, so step through here. Items and inventory. He has nothing. However, we add bare hands. Wait a second. Right. We don't want append. Because append, I don't know why you can call append on lists. It doesn't actually work. I don't think this needs to recompile, so we'll continue. We'll exit. It definitely needs add, and yeah, we gotta generate some recipes again. Let's see here, but I think that will probably work, hopefully. Let's go ahead and actually, so we have bare hands. Well, I was gonna go add those recipes manually so they would already be in the game, but we would also need to generate like those output items too. And I don't want to go through all that just for testing this. We can just generate them on the fly. I don't mind watching them for a minute. All right, let's see if we can get him early, preempt him with that tombstone that we know he's definitely going to inspect. Surely. Okay, so he is trying to inspect... Where's our target? A scythe. Okay. And interestingly, it's a generic interactable entity. We probably want a little branch here for like if it's a dropped item. We have a design question here of, do we want to allow NPCs to pick up dropped items? And I think the answer is yes. But there are a lot of items throughout the world that are like meant for the player, kind of. And we don't necessarily want the player to arrive in a new area and be like, all right, everything's gone because the NPCs picked it up all the way already. But I do think it would be cool to be able to like drop items and then see NPCs pick them up and then have them in their inventory. So we could differentiate like player dropped items or I guess protected items. That makes sense. We should. I'll do that. That's a good idea. So we can just have a flag on dropped items for player only or something, and we'll set player only on all of the dropped items that we set in the game or like that we've decorated the world with. But if the player drops an item, then they can pick it up. That makes sense. That's a good idea. In general, it sounds more immersive if the NPCs interact in the world to the same degree as the player. I completely agree. All right, so we'll see here that he's going to try and interact with a scythe over there, which is a dropped item that the player can pick up, but he doesn't know that, so there's no recipe to interact with it. What are you interacting with now? Let's pin... What can we pin that'll give us a good... This is fine. Object name. So he's interacting with a barrel. Sure. Let's get recipe for the barrel going as well. He's interacting with a dropped item bag. Sure. Play. Barrel has a recipe. Oh, no, we won't be able to beat him on the stump. Probably. Stump possessed. Let's just double check. So items in inventory, he has one, and it's just his bare hands again. It's that default item that we found. So for each one, could not find a recipe. Okay, that's fine. So now he's going to the tombstone, which I think does have a recipe. Okay, so this is where we want to trace because we should expect him to actually interact here. So he has one item in his inventory. For each item, resulting item name, he should get a chipped stone. You bet he has bare hands, absolutely. I thought about even renaming it to bare hands just for him, but we'll see. All right, he did find a recipe, and it should put that item now in his inventory, which in slot 1 should have that chipped stone item, and he should form that memory there. So if we click continue, and then we quickly go talk to him before he goes inside that tree. So now he's interacting with a lot more stuff, but he does have the chip stone. So we need to figure out how to like play and harvest animation on him. I mean, the same way the player does. But architecturally, we need to figure out how to make him wait for the set amount of time for that harvest, so it's not just instant. But if we disconnect here and press play, maybe we do a little harvesting. He should now have the ability to harvest stuff, so that's kind of cool. Let's just harvest all we can over here, I guess. I feel like he's gonna beat us to the crate. Let's get our bush done. But once we get a few recipes built, we'll let him go for a minute, and then we'll check in on his inventory, and it should be nice and full, I think. Let's do a pine tree. Sure. He's probably harvesting from the bush, which we know gives us a handful of berries. Wait, did that say crate when I was harvesting from that? Don't think so. Surely not. Bush, stump has recipe. Let's set up the pumpkins because I think he does that. A stump. Yeah, well, I guess we missed that one. But we'll just generate all these recipes real fast and then see what he does. So now he's harvesting from a pumpkin, which should give him pumpkins, I suppose. Stump. We do need to fix the collider on that rock. I thought I did last night, but I didn't test it. All right, where are you going, bud? You harvesting from more rocks? Okay, yeah, they're broken. All right, so he has like some chip stones. He's got handfuls of berries. We can buy them. We could also, so here's what we're gonna do while we've got him stuck here. One, we're gonna take our pickaxe. We're gonna use our pickaxe on the mossy boulder to generate a recipe for what happens when you use a pickaxe on it. And then we will sell our pickaxe to him. And so he is now going to try and harvest. Is he trying to harvest from a wooden fence? No, mossy boulder. Okay. He's going to use that in his inventory before he goes to his bare hands. The recipe should exist, so he should get, I mean, whatever it is we just got. Let me double check that first. Mossy boulder, moss covered stone. All right, so he has that pickaxe in his inventory. Let's increase this interaction range because apparently it's not nearly high enough. So that should allow him to interact now. So let's see if he gets a mossy stone. Let's also just interact with our fists to make sure that it gives us something other than a mossy stone. But he's still stuck on it, so... Oh, he's getting a ton of them. Okay, he's just harvesting from it over and over again. Cool. Interesting. Now he's trying to harvest from us. Okay. Well, it works, so that's exciting. These rocks are an issue because even we as the player have a difficult time harvesting from them sometimes. Maybe not. But that's just collider issues that I'll probably debug off stream. But it's unfortunate that he's getting stuck on it. But you see him trying over and over again to harvest from it. But it works, so that's exciting. He has 39 moss-covered stones now. Why are you just... I guess he wants to work in the mines. That's what he wants to do. All right, cool. So it works. It's so cool to see it coming together. Yes, absolutely. I think it's really, really cool the way that the actions are structured also because it lets you specify like for each NPC what actions they're allowed to do. So here, like, we can add in interact with objects, walk around randomly, like, talk to the player, go home, blah, blah, blah. But I think outside of NPCs, it's going to enable a lot of other stuff too. Like, if I... Actually... So if I take this brain and our debug thing, grab those... and I turn on like a chicken. So what I should be able to do, it might break because chickens don't have a persona, and I think we'll probably rely on that somewhere right now. But if I paste those in, give this chicken a brain, and just like only give it random walkabout. And then maybe... give this guy box collider. Make sure that's right. That's good enough. Give it a generic interactable world object. Call it a chicken. Also give it a navmesh agent with pretty decent speed. We'll go even faster. It should just like move around randomly fast, but also be an interactable object that the player can like click on if they can catch it. Let's see if this works because I feel like it's probably going to give us Let me double check the NPC brain real fast. In our initialization, we might rely on a persona. So initialize, yield, turn on the brain if the player is nearby. Sure. Player layer, get component. That's fine. Yeah, so here, let's say if NPC controller is not equal to null. So we can kind of make that optional, and then like in our sensory service, we could also make that optional. I don't know where that's used. I feel like that would be used in our prompt. Is it not? Is not used. Okay, we have the code living somewhere else. NPC controller, where is this used? Let's go ahead and actually make that optional. The body, let's make optional. Okay, so this should be fine, I think. Let's just see if this works. Did we just make a chicken that has a little brain, but a very primitive brain where it can just move around? We'll find out. But yeah, the point is, I think it's really cool how we can set up specific actions that things can do. And then we can kind of composite piecemeal actions together to build like enemies. Like we could have an action for attack player, add that to enemies, maybe even add that like dynamically based on like if this guy really hates us, we could start adding it to him. But let's see, this guy, brain, random walkabout. Will this work? What's our, wait, where's our billboard? Let's reset that position. And this brain needs, these references are probably pointing to the old one. So action, actions in queue, and memories count. So we're not updating this from the chicken brain. Let's see, fingers crossed. You can do it, chicken. Wait, why is this guy talking to us again? Did we enable that on him? So we can interact with the chicken. He's not moving though. That's fine though. He's gonna try and interact with the chicken too. I wonder if he got raw chicken. Okay. And what we could also do is set this chicken to like limited harvests where when you harvest from it, it destroys the object. So you get a raw chicken and the chicken's gone. That would probably go really well into like ranching or something where you could also have chickens have the ability to like breed with other chickens as an action, which will spawn another chicken. This NPC stuff is just epic. Heck yeah. Harvesting raw chicken from a living chicken is the body horror we were missing on Halloween. Here we go. We've got it. Horror game unlocked. My question is, why you not moving, chicken? Do we have any errors? Oh, I'm filtered. We do. Okay. Initialize brain. Right, we don't have, obviously, yes. Okay, so let's fix all these. So these are optional. If persona is not null, actually, let's just ternary up in here. Persona is equal to Let's say body, not name. Okay, persona null, obviously. Yeah, we don't want that anymore. What's our next error? Here, filled out prompt. We needed persona.personality. Okay, so we will just say, I think that'll give it a blank string. And then the rest of this, action history, blah, 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 is fine. Let's try again. Give the chicken a persona. I could give the chicken a persona, and you would be able to talk to that chicken. One of the other things that I'm really excited about is adding brains to, like, trees and things dynamically. So in, like, D&D, there's a spell for, like, talk to plant. And since we've built NPCs in such a way that they pull sensory information from what's near them, they form memories, and they can talk to you, we can dynamically add a brain to any tree or plant that you cast talk to plant on, and you could talk to that plant, and it'll talk probably very, very generic at the start, because it won't have any memories, but based on how we do like broadcasting of actions to stuff nearby, we could have a memory generated. Like if we harvest from this chicken, we might broadcast it to entities nearby with brains. So he would form a memory of like, I saw the player harvest this item from a chicken. Likewise, a tree might say, I saw the player harvest wood from this tree. I saw the player harvest wood from this tree, over and over and over again. And then they might be mad at you as the player for like cutting down the forests and like things like that. So it's kind of wild. Not the chicken errors. Yes, yes. We're dealing with the chicken errors. They're going to be fine. I think we actually might have fixed them. So we're going to jump back in. But give the chicken a persona. The chicken already has a mask off, so it can't manifest its persona. Try giving him glasses. He can dramatically take off. A chicken with glasses is probably a cool vibe. If I were good at modeling, I would add glasses to him, like sunglasses to him right this second. Maybe Human can come and clutch here and build us a model. We broke things. So initialize brain. Right. Yes, so if they don't have a persona, you can't talk to them. I guess I should have seen this coming as well. We don't need to initialize their conversation database, and we also don't need to initialize quests for them. This chicken is not going to have quests, but if we gave it a persona, it could have quests, which is also crazy. Like, we could give the tree quests. Maybe we should actually make... where is it at? Hard to see from here. We've got this gigantic world tree here. We could make it so you could talk to that tree, and it could form its own quests. It would form memories and things. But let's fix these errors, okay? Because we're just making persona optional on things with brains now, because brain is going to be allowed for more primitive things. Let's jump back in when this is ready, and we'll see what other errors we get. Have a potion that you can put on a non-living thing that adds a persona component. That's wild. Absolutely. Yeah, actually, there's probably some really cool, like, emergent behavior there to play with, just in the way that, like, when you start layering all these systems together, if you consider, if we have a potion, that would need an affix generated on it with the effect of, like, add this game component to this object, which we could do, absolutely. And so you could then also, like, have that same affix on other things, like put it on a tool that whenever you use that tool on any object, it gives it a brain. And it's like, you can talk to it then, or like potions that you can pour on stuff that would give it a brain. There's a lot of cool stuff to be done. We don't have any affixes right now that like add game components. They all just kind of manipulate game data or manipulate value on existing components. But I like that a lot. That's a cool idea. We're definitely gonna have to do that. Chicken. Why you no chickening? Also, as a side note, we upgraded to Unity 6 the other day, and the one thing that I don't like about it so far is the like tabs aren't floating anymore. Like we have the actual like original console that we had, but it also has like system title bars on top, which is kind of annoying. All right, so update NPC. Oh, right. Okay. So that is good because that means our chicken is trying to execute things. We're just erroring on the debugging. So let's do this again and say persona is not equal to null or body dot name for the game object name. Let's try once more. Surely this will work. For something like talk to plants, giving plants a random personality sounds fun. Yes, absolutely. A tree that's horrified by your act of giving it sentience sounds hilarious. I think that would be so cool. And also, like, again, with the layered systems, the personas are literally just like a paragraph that we wrote for a guy. So this guy has a persona attached of this, which, like, this persona right here, gotta clear this inventory, is all that powers, like, his quests, his conversations, everything. And this paragraph specifically is something that we could generate with another prompt saying, like, hey, generate a persona for a tree that was just given life. And every time it'll give something slightly different. Maybe it'll be wild. Like, we can guide it however we want. But, like, we could generate personas on the fly too, which is really cool for adding personas to random things, because we can give it context of, like, the player just used this potion on this object to give it a persona, bring it to life. Here are some nearby objects. Like, here's some any relevant memories from the player about it. Like, whatever we want to do, really. It would be super cool. Wait, what? You want glasses for that chicken? I can do that in 10 seconds. Sunglasses or regular or regular glasses? What do you guys think, chat? Do chickens look better with regular glasses or sunglasses? We have this chicken model here that I would love to give sunglasses to, just to make him cool. Oh my god, he's moving. We got to give him a better turn speed, but we now have chickens. With technically chickens with brains. Like, there's no decision making that they're doing right here because there's no, like, other actions that they're trying to do. We could give them an action of, like, poop and it spawns an item on the ground or something and they can decide what to do, but they work. So we could have a full fleet of chickens now. We could have an action of, like, run away from the player. We probably want a flag on this sort of brain where maybe it's just random choice every time instead of asking an LLM every time. I mean, especially when there's only one action. Obviously, you're going to get that action. But maybe for chickens, we don't necessarily need them to decide to walk closer to certain things. Or maybe we do. I don't know. But it works. That's pretty cool. This guy talks to me way too much still. Let's get rid of him. And yeah, I mean, that's exciting. So it works. So now we could say, like, take this chicken. Why is the anchor point over here? Suspicious. Oh, the brain. Reset position. Sure. Oh, yep. And that, I guess it's kind of, there might be something cool with, like, being able to move the brain too. Maybe this is very abstract and hand wavy, but the brain radius is what determines what objects it can see. Or maybe it doesn't actually. But we could do some interesting things where, like, Maybe there's a race of creatures that have like a static brain somewhere, like at their base. And so it's always seeing the objects at its base, and it's like out in the world, like almost hive mindy of like interacting with stuff to bring back. But the things that it sees are like somewhere else. I don't know. That could be cool. Let's see here. Human, if you're still offering, I would love sunglasses on this chicken, and we're gonna call him a cool chicken when he's got them. I don't know if I don't even know. I would assume you'll make sunglasses and then I stick it on this model. I don't know if I need to send you the model to add sunglasses to. Like the modeling is not my forte, but yes, I can send you the model for sure. Let me find it. I probably have just like an FBX. It's a free asset from the Unity store. So this guy, show an explorer. Let me dump it over to Discord. All right, you now have a chicken model. I don't know. Yeah, that should be the whole model, like textures and everything. I will also, if you would like, if you want to add sunglasses to this chicken, one thing that we do with some of the objects in the world is like add a description. So when NPCs inspect it, they get some like context that they can add to their own memory. Like, for example, tombstones. If an NPC inspects this, they learn this as a memory. If you would like to write the description for the cool chicken with sunglasses, maybe like how he got sunglasses, whose sunglasses they are, I don't know. I'll put that description in the game for the cool chicken. Thank you for making it. Let's see here. What shape? I do not know sunglass shapes very well. Like aviators, I don't know. Is that cool? Like just square ones? Anything that looks cool, really. You can decide there. World Tree is a quest giver. That's mind blowing. Yes, I think that's a cool idea actually. And maybe we could even maybe we can tie it behind a skill even, where like once you're high enough level in nature or something, you can talk to the tree, or like once you've learned talk to plants, if you cast that on the tree, it like unlocks this NPC that has been there learning all the time, but you haven't been able to talk to. Lots of cool stuff we could do there. The Gurren Lagann glasses would go hard on a chicken. I think they would. I think I know those glasses. I haven't seen the show, but the very like pointy triangle ones, if I remember right. Sounds like something that belongs to the Corrupt Lands, a hive mind that replaces the persona of random characters and objects in the world. Yeah, that would be cool. Also, as a side note, one of the ideas that I've toyed with while we're building these like routes for all the NPCs to kind of interact with the world in the same way the player does. One spell that I've considered would be really, really cool for the player is like a possess spell or something, where you could basically get inside of another NPC and like you basically play as them at that point. And you could go out, harvest items the same way, like talk to other NPCs, but it's got some of the vibes of like our You Are Not Alice game, where you could take over, say, let's head to a town so it's less creepy people. Like if you are in town and you're like, hey, I noticed that this character and this character really aren't getting along, or like something you want to change and it's not really working to just talk to them directly, you could potentially like possess this character, walk over as him, talk to this character, and like have a conversation between those two, and then maybe like walk back and unpossess. but each of those characters would have memories of the conversation that they had that you basically drove. And so you could kind of influence the town that way. It's probably a very abstract thing and probably doesn't have a lot of direct influence, but there might be something cool there you could do. Like, what if this guy, his quest is that he needs a friend or something, and you could possess somebody else and walk over to him and be like, hey, you're pretty cool. Like, I would love to be friends with you. And then, like, when this guy's doing his internal monologue of like, is my quest complete yet? He would have that memory of, oh, somebody went and talked to me. So yeah, I guess I have a friend now. So that could be cool. And would the possessed person know that you possess them? I think yes. I think that would be so cool because you could also form these memories from their behalf, but also like flag it as like the player made them do this, or like an unseen force forced him to do X, Y, and Z. And so they have the memories of doing things, but they don't necessarily have the memory of like why. And so there's probably some fun spookiness that you could do there of like just possess this guy, walk him way outside town and like leave him there. And he's like, where the heck am I? Why am I out here? And he probably chooses go home as his action. So he walks home, and then there's like memory stuff that we need to do there to make it a little bit more immersive. But the ideal would be like he forms these memories of he regained control this far from home. He walked home. He saw all these things on the way back. And then he's like, why was I out there? I don't remember moving out there. It's not in my history of actions. Like the player can talk to them and gaslight them or whatever they want to do, I guess. Let's see. How did you do the animations on the chicken? There are none in the FBX file. I don't think there are any animations on the chicken yet. I literally just added a nav mesh agent to him and made him move on the ground, but I don't think his legs move or anything. Let me double check that. Yeah, he doesn't even have an animator component on him, but let's jump in the game and double check. You should buy this ghost repellent for a ridiculous price. No. Okay, well, if you wake up in the middle of the woods all alone in the middle of the night, just remember this conversation. Heck yeah. And then, like, one thing, there's so many things that I want to do eventually. Okay, yeah, there's no animation on him. I don't know how I will animate him yet, but I think with a small enough model, he's probably not super important to animate. I hopefully will eventually though. But there's a lot of things that we want to build in the game. Like friendship scores and stuff is pretty bare bones, but I want that to turn into like haggling and price increases and decreases. Like if they like you or don't like you, they'll sell you items for cheaper or more. I would love for them to come to you and ask like, hey, can I buy this item off of you for this price? Maybe we should add that as an action. But like lots of cool stuff like that I think will play really well into being able to manipulate them in different ways, them being able to make memories, lots of cool stuff, I think. Gaslighting simulator. You know what? Actually, right before stream, I went to go just double check that our first demo, You Are Not Alice, was still running, which for anybody who hasn't seen it is a social engineering / hacking game where you play as a employee at a company, or you play as a hacker who's taken over an employee's computer and you talk to their coworkers, convince them to run viruses, blah blah blah. I went in to test to make sure it was still running, just periodically I do, and all I did was just gaslight my boss and just like be like, report me to HR, I bet you won't. And it was surprisingly cathartic. So I could definitely see people coming into this game or that game and just being like, hey, dumb face, bear head, I hate you. And he forms those memories, and like if we flesh out more of the like friendship stuff, like he'd probably raise his prices on items for you. He'd probably choose to talk to you less often. He'd probably like maybe if the friendship score is low enough, he might gain an action to like attack you. Lots of cool stuff that you can do, which is a direct result of like how you talk to those NPCs. I think I go into these games that I'm like, oh, I'm going to help every single person and I'm going to fix everything everywhere. And Tony reminds me here and there of like, oh, yeah, and you can also choose not to help them, or you can choose to make their problem worse. So there's a lot of fun stuff to play with there. Choked on my water. Alrighty, so we have not only finished up all of the actions on this guy, which I'm realizing we need to double check. Okay, he does have initiate conversation on him. I'm like, why is he talking to us? Alright, but let's go ahead and let's give him everything again. Add all possible actions. Let's turn off move to specific coordinate because... Wait. Because that's more used for like the decomposition of stuff. Why? But he works as an NPC now. That's cool. It's apparently very easy to add other NPCs. This chicken now works. What I want to do real fast is in the chicken brain. I want to make a quick change here to say in generate next queued action to do, if there's only one action that they can do, we should probably just always choose that immediately. We don't need to pipe that over and use like a bunch of LLM tokens. So what we can do is just a quick little hack here of if there's only one possible action, always choose that action. So we can say if learned actions.count is equal to 1 or 0, I guess we just return instantly, but let's say on new action decided. Yeah, it's a little bit weird that we need to pipe through like our JSON thing, but we can do that. It's just a little hard because it works to just like pick the action and run it directly with like random walkabout. But if the only action was, for example, interact with object, we need that target metadata as well. And we would basically need to go through and like do the code to randomly choose the target or the other metadata that we need for each action. So what we can do is, let's just do that real fast. It shouldn't be that hard. It'll be useful to have. So we'll say void, what's this called? On new action decided. We'll say decide on random action without AI. Hey Cozy, thank you. I just had a drink of water and choked on it, so more water is probably great. Thank you. And also welcome in. Are the Gurren Lagann glasses 2D, like on a plane? Yes, I believe they are. Let me pull that up. I'm pretty sure I know the glasses that to which 7 is referring. Gurren Lagann glasses. Yeah, these are what I'm picturing. They're like flat, very triangular, and they, I think, are just a single plane with some depth. And they would indeed be amazing on a chicken. I could also send you that picture if you want, but I just Googled Gurren Lagann glasses. Be careful now. All right, I'll have some coffee instead. They're actually glasses, not a plane. Planes fly, chickens slow fall. Jail. Straight to jail. All right, so since we're going to go through the logic of basically this without the AI associated with it, I think what we should do, instead of branching on if there's one action or not, let's go ahead and just add a flag for public bool use AI for action decisions. We'll set that to true by default. Does that make sense? I think so. And we can say if that's disabled, like we will disable it on a chicken. Then we can call our decide on random action without AI. I'm wondering if we should even do this because, I mean, I guess we should. The cool stuff is that they can think like that. There will be things that we probably want to not think at all. But even like chickens, it would be cool for them to decide like, hey, I want to go look at this rock, or there's seeds on the ground. I want to go look at these seeds, which requires the brain there. We don't necessarily want them to just be like, I'm going to go look at this boulder. I'll go look at this well, like proper random actions. So we'll do this, and we're going to just see if it's going to take us more than a couple minutes to implement. Because each one's going to be a little bit different. Like random walkabout, super easy, doesn't take anything. This one should be super easy as well. We just need to decide on a random entity nearby to look at. Like each one's going to have something slightly different, but it should be pretty quick. Oh, chat's wild. Be careful now. How's it going? Coffee is hydration. Coffee is definitely in the hydration sphere. You guys should visit soon. Good. Super busy day at work. Hope it's going well, Cozy. I know you're killing it this week, so hope that's a good busy. Same here. Ready to get our demo out. Very excited for people to try it out. Me too. I can't wait, but I will. Thank you so much, Patrick. I also want it out. I want it out so soon just so I can play it. I also want to just watch other people play it. So I've been trying to think of like who streams that I would want to just like share it with and see how they play it. I'll definitely hit you up for that. And if you know anybody as well, please hit me up. I'm happy to pass it along to other people too. Heads up, I'll jump off here in 10:15. Take that call. Thank you so much. I would love to continue coding, but the call should be fun too. Hell yeah, coffee is still hydration. Still water. Absolutely. All right, so here's what we're going to do. So we will have our... How do we want to do this? How do we want to... You're good to continue coding. Okay, cool. Awesome. Let me know how it goes afterwards. Thanks for being here, though. I appreciate it. I know you're working on some cool stuff over there, too. So thanks for dedicating a second screen to me. So we have learned actions is a list of enabled actions. We want to pick a random one from there and branch off of its name. Yeah, or its value, I guess. and then basically do this switch, but on its value. So we can say learned actions. Actually, what is that? Humanoid action dot learned dot enabled action. Random action is learned actions at 0 to count. Sure. We can say switch random action. I think we can do this. And then case dot random walkabout. Okay, cool. So this should be pretty easy. There's just going to be a couple where we'll have some extra logic on it. But this gives us a flag for if there's any objects that we want to basically give the ability to do these actions, but we want it to be truly random, we can skip over the AI and just make it instant and random every time too, which probably isn't the case ever for NPCs. Might not even be the case for dumb things like chickens, but like for farming or something, if we want to give a little sapling a brain and the only action it can choose is like grow or wait or something, like we can randomly choose grow or wait each time, and then it kind of works. Hope you enjoy the call. I always see your name as Tony's Procket, and then I'm like, what's a procket? And then I realize I'm just dumb. Tony's Pocket. But yeah, let's get this rolling. It's a little like I don't necessarily like that we have this big switch, because it means whenever we add new actions, we have to come in and do logic for that action. And it gets more than doubly bad when we now have two switches that we need to go in and do different logic in. But that's actually a really smart way to do this. Just pick something, some object that the object has seen before, grab it and walk to it. I'm so distracted by that clever implementation that I will allow the double switches, I guess. Interact with object, sure. We do the same thing. Let's get rid of that and that. So this is just going to grab a random thing we've seen. So it'll be over any distance, so it's not necessarily like nearby right now, but I think that's probably fine, especially for this randomness. NPCs will kind of expand their area of influence, I guess, over time. What else we got? Inspect object, we'll probably just do the same thing. Random object, sure. Yeah, I was mostly like, the only difference between these two switches is just how we deal with that metadata, specifically the target of what to do this action on. So in this case, the LLM is deciding both, hey, you want to move closer to object and that object should be a barrel. Versus here, we're saying we've randomly decided to move closer to a object and that object has randomly decided to be a barrel. So we're just skipping over the AI both ways. So initiate conversation is probably something. Maybe we skip over that for now because it's always going to be with the player. I mean, I guess we can just... How do we do it up here? Should be... It's a little bit weird because we're going to come back and change this so NPCs can talk to each other, but we hard code in the player for now. The entity is target. I think it's... Do we even use this? Yeah, we'll come back and redo this action in a bit. It works for talking to the player, but we want NPCs to be able to talk to each other. So we're going to say debug non-AI conversation starting. It's not enabled yet on brains without AI. Sure. And go home. Last one should be easy. Cool. All right, so that is fine. So now we should be able to go over to our chicken and turn the thinking part of the brain off, which is a crazy phrase to say. But now the chicken will just use its like it's a term for the systems that like keep you breathing and heart beating and stuff. It'll just pick to walk around randomly instead of asking itself, what do I want to do? So he can random walkabout and also move closer to object so we can test that, and also go home, sure. And that'll kind of keep the chickens within like a certain range. So we could put a bunch of chickens in like a pen, and they could randomly walk out of that pen, but if one of their random options is to go home, which is walk back into the pen, they should mostly be kept within the pen. Tony Pocket sounds like a cool kid superhero or something, like Polly Pocket. I think that's the one it's real. That's our next game. I would like to turn the thinking part of the brain off. Yes, please. Autonomic. That makes sense. I believe that. I don't know if that's exactly the word I was thinking of, but I believe that that is probably true. But yes, I think especially today, let's all just uncheck this box in our brains. And now we can just all be autonomic and not have to actually have an internal monologue of what should I be doing right now. So if that's the case, let's make sure we added in that branch. So if that is turned off, we now use a random action. Let's see what calls this, because we might want to shove that up higher. Yeah, let's do that. Let's say if use AI for that, we'll generate that, and right. Otherwise, let's what's it called? Never remember what I call these functions. Q random action without AI. So now at our very top level, we don't need this anymore. Our internal monologue loop says, hey, if we need to queue up something, let's do it. And if we want to use our brain, let's use our brain. Otherwise, let's just rely on our instincts. Having that conversation in my head took 30 minutes of work. Oof. Okay, 2 minutes, got a little distracted. No worries, human. If you're going to make a cool chicken with sunglasses for us, I will wait forever for that. So no worries at all. Let's see if this chicken works now. So it should randomly walk around, it should occasionally move closer to specific objects, and it should occasionally go back to this position. If this works, we can add 24 chickens all in a big cluster, and they will all just work without using any AI tokens or anything, which is kind of cool because we kind of want to reserve those for important things. This chicken is working perfectly. And this guy is still using his brain on things. What a dummy. This chicken is where it's at. Cool. I think it all works. Let's add 20 chickens and watch them all. Maybe we'll put them in the pumpkin field. I guess I probably should have double checked that it wasn't actually using the brain, but surely it's not actually using the brain because it was so like instant. So let's take this guy. Oh right, we wanted to change his angular speed. That's his turn radius. Let's see what this guy's at for like magnitude. Because I think like 600 is what I wanted originally. Oh, he has 1,000. Okay, let's do 1,000 on the chicken too. Let's do 1,000. We could make him even faster. We might want a range on how far the random walk goes. Let's see what we use for that real fast. Random walkabout is 10 meter units. That's probably fine. That's like a distance of, I'll just visualize it in the editor so we can get a sense. When I can. All right, so he's at X736 now. So if we bump him over to 46, that's about how far the random walk will do at a maximum range, which I think is fine. So let's do the hilarious thing and just put chickens everywhere, I guess. Now that we've excluded them from using the proper thinking AI, this has no repercussions whatsoever. Surely. And we'll disable all the debug things too. Human says, check your Discord. All right. I think we will build the anticipation for the chickens. Let's see this chicken for Drusif. All right. Here's Alfredo the Audacious. Once a magician, now a very cool chicken with sunglasses. He once tried to impress ladies, but the spell went wrong. So now he's just a chicken with big charm and a bit of spice. He tells everyone his story, but people only see, wow, a talking chicken. I dig it. Let's see what we got here. Hopefully this is not a virus. I don't even know how to open an FBX file outside of Unity. So we download it, and then can I just find it somewhere here, drag it in. This is a fine spot for it. And we bring this guy in. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I don't know what happened to the textures, but I'm okay with this. I added 2 versions of sunglasses, so you need to disable one. Oh, okay. Gurren Lagann sunglasses. Oh, I see. That's yeah. I was like, why are they doubled up? Okay. Yeah, that's a good bit of sunglasses. I guess I could also, like, I know the textures are a little messed up here, but I can take these glasses and I can just give them to another chicken, right? Let's see. Reset position. Let's put him on this guy. So he's the cool chicken. That's so good. I also didn't have textures in the FBX for some reason. Yeah, I probably just didn't understand what I should have sent you, to be honest. I'm not entirely sure where the textures are even coming from. Like, I see that there are allegedly textures on this, but there's no like textures on the model. Maybe I should have sent you something in here. But yeah, my bad. But thank you. I dig the sunglasses on this guy. So where's my wheel? All the way up there for some reason. Okay, it should move with the chicken. And then we're gonna take, let's grab your description too. Story is obviously just a placeholder. Oh, we'll be using this. So now this specific chicken is Alfredo the Audacious. So if any NPC inspects this chicken as one of their actions, they will learn about this and they'll be able to talk to the player about this. We'll probably expose a way for the player to see these descriptions at some point as well. I just don't know how we want to do it yet. But let's disable this guy real fast. But let's also grab his regular sunglasses. And let's put them on... Who is this? This guy? Yeah, let's put them on this guy. So we got 2 cool chickens here. Good thing Tony's in a call. He can't see these perfect Easter eggs. My personal Easter egg. Heck yeah. That's such a cool chicken. Look at this man. Or woman. I feel like chickens are... Is there a term for male versus female on those? There we go. Alright, perfect. So he... Yeah, he'll rotate correctly too. Alright, so... I'll write a description for him as well. Oh, gotcha. Rooster and hen. So I guess chicken isn't necessarily descriptive in gender. We've lost the Gurren Lagann one. Here we go. I don't know if you saw this guy, 7, but we are good to go. Maybe these glasses need adjusted just slightly forward. How's that look? And so we also now have a field of chickens. Let's go see if we can find our boys. Our fancy ones. He looks like he used to say slurs in COD lobbies, but came out a few years ago. You know, that is probably the perfect vibe for him. Alright, we now have chickens. I don't know if they're too fast, but they are using the same framework we built for AIs to decide what to do, but they aren't using any of that AI, so they are super fast, which is awesome. I'm not seeing the sunglasses on them. We need to find them, though. Oh, is that one? Yeah, that was him. That was one of them. There he goes. Cool sunglass man. I love it. We'll give him a different name even. So when you harvest from one of those, you'll get something different. We'll make him extra Easter eggy in that sense. So let's say our sunglass boy we'll call Cool Chicken, and our Gurren Lagann boy, we can call him Gay Chicken. Instead of Where's Waldo, now it's Where's Alfredo. We'll just call him Alfredo. That's a great one. Alfredo the Audacious, even. That's a much better name than naming him Gay Chicken. Alright, so let's actually... Ooh, I wonder if there's a good way to disable all of these debug billboards. Let's just do it manually, I guess. Because we want those disabled. I wonder if it's going to error because we're kind of hacked them together. But let's turn them all off so the field's a little bit nicer. And what we could actually do is turn the speed down, but give him less acceleration. So each of these has a speed of 4, acceleration of 8. We could like cut all that acceleration in like half. Let's see how that feels. Not the biggest deal to fine tune how fast chickens run around, but you know what? We're having fun today. Alright, so we got all our chickens selected. We have speed 4, acceleration 8. Let's cut our acceleration down to 2. Auto braking's fine. Pathfinding, blah blah blah, is all fine. We'll probably want like a non-humanoid agent for small things, but for now it's fine. Let's see if this even works. It might error on the billboards being gone, but at least we won't have all those and we can see our field. We can try and find Alfredo, see what we get when we harvest from Alfredo, and see what we get when we harvest from a cool chicken as well. That's the game right there, is just find the chickens. Forget about the rest of this stuff. Alright, where we got? We got chickens everywhere. Cool. They will look a lot better with animations, I think. I just need to figure out how to do that. We got chickens. Alfredo the Audacious. I see you in there. What do you got? Probably want to also freeze movement when the player's interacting with them. There we go, Human. I've got quite the item for you. A rare signature from Alfredo the Audacious himself. Worth keeping. Hey Lucky, welcome on in. Can we see the cool chicken? Yes, we gotta find him. We just found Alfredo, who has our Gurren Lagann red pointy sunglasses. This guy doesn't need to be talking to me. Thank you, thank you. But we are looking for a chicken with sunglasses. There he is. There's our cool chicken. Turn speed definitely needs amped up a lot more, I think. Or maybe decreased a lot. But let's see what we get when we harvest from a cool chicken. An autograph, his signature, heck yeah. So now we could take his signature and, you know, do something with it. Alright, we just get feathers, but they are soft feathers plucked from a cool chicken. So at least there's that. Let's combine his signature with some feathers, see what we get there. And I guess actually the scarecrows are super useful in this game because it like gives you hay or cloth or something usually. Very there's not usually a way to get that sort of like tree of stuff. It's like paper and all that. So we're getting tattered cloth here. So if we take our autograph, let's go ahead and see what we get with that. But when we combine the feather with the autograph, we got the quill of Alfredo the Audacious, which we can use as a tool. So now I'm wondering what we'll get if we use his quill on him. We also got the cape of Alfredo the Audacious, which gives us some constitution and dexterity, obviously. So let's see if we can find Alfredo again. We got our cool chicken here. Let's use our quill on him, see what we get. Damn, this is honestly super cool. It just works like that. Yeah, it's so fun to just like... That's why I added a spaceship in the mountains. It's just like... You now have this like futuristic item that kind of unlocks entire trees of items that you can now play with. So we got our Audacious manuscript, which for some reason looks like a chicken. However, if we find Alfredo, maybe we can use the quill on him. Where are you at, Alfredo? We probably want to turn off their colliders so they're not pushing us around. Where are you at, Alfredo? There you are. Nope, that's a cool chicken. What's this guy doing? Oh, he's harvesting from that boulder again. Yeah, we still gotta fix those. Is that you? No. I also think it might be fun to give them an action of just pooping and just like dropping items on the ground that you can pick up. He's over there by the other chicken. Oh, I missed him. Where you at, Alfredo? Chicken. Oh, I saw. No. There you are. We got him. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. And we also leveled up Divinity to level 2. Or, yeah. So we got some extra stat points. So we got an autographed quill. Okay, not the greatest However, it's worth a lot. This is worth 25 gold. This is worth 50. This quill has been imbued with Alfredo's audacity and now bears his signature. A priceless item for collectors and scholars. There he is. So if we run over to this guy, we could now sell off some of those quills, and we are rolling in money. Which, there's no gold sink in this game, and right now all you need it is buying items from entities. So I recognize that the gold is a little unbalanced right now. But it's kind of nice to be able to kind of circumvent some other systems and just like use crafting or use harvesting to make items that are worth a lot so that you can get other items. But I absolutely love this Easter egg now. We're going to keep these chickens, all of these chickens. We're going to keep Alfredo. We're going to keep the cool chicken. We do need to customize the tooltip a little bit to have a little bit more room for like tools that have really long names because it's overlapping. But I would say this works real well. We've done great work here, guys. All right, so let's go ahead and let's turn down this angular speed a lot. Let's say like 400. So they're gonna make a lot more like loops versus just turning and moving, which I think is fine for chickens. Let's also do. Well, let's not mess with the like optimizations with them quite yet, but we want to. Oh, this is already a trigger. I wonder why they're pushing us around then. I should just make a prefab for all of these, which I guess I'll do now. I just wanted to quickly hack a bunch of chickens in place. Maybe the chickens are having a rig. Maybe I can animate them too if I have a bit too much time left somewhere. They might. I mean, I can look. Like it does look like they have a rigging of bones. And maybe this is what I should have sent you. But I don't actually know like where all this comes from. Yes, they have a rig. Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of, I mean, even the wings, wow. There's a lot of stuff that I should probably just learn here. You have everything you need. Awesome. So can I just like, no, I can't rotate, like, I don't even know how this rigging works. I want to learn more of this. I just haven't worked with it at all. It's like even the feet, can I move them? Okay, I kind of can. Interesting. The toes. Huh. Okay. Well, that should be fun to play with, I think. Move the spine. Huh. Okay. Well, that gives me hope that I'll be able to rig up all these random models that I've made. The rig is not really attached to anything, so the bones mostly move without the mesh. Interesting. Yeah, let's go ahead and... so we have wildlife now. Let's go ahead and just... I mean, these are all placeholders. Let's say unused. Let's drag everything in there, because we're not actually using any of those yet. But we do now have, not a material, a single prefab that we can start putting places. You'll need to set up animation states. That's like the only thing I got to do successfully in Unity during the game jam I did. Interesting. Yes, every animation clip is going to have another animation state. This feels like something that I should just like spend some days watching YouTube videos and like get all that foundational knowledge and figure out. But also seems like something that I absolutely should know. So let's get this. Why is this a model prefab? We want a proper prefab. So what we're going to do, let's take It's not too difficult to wrap your head around, though. That's reassuring. That's nice. Okay. This guy is gone. Luckily, he wasn't one of our cool chickens. But let's just take this guy, unpack him entirely, and then turn that into our prefab. So we don't have that baggage of the model. So we have chicken there. Cool. I will go ahead and probably just delete all these so we can use the actual prefab. But let's make sure we don't lose our cool chicken, which, right, we need to not accidentally lose him by doing the exact same thing we just did. So let's make this prefab. Let's delete this model. Almost. Okay, are you cool? Wait, that's Alfredo. We'll just grab the sunglasses manually. All right, so this guy, Gurren Lagann sunglasses. He's such a cool chicken. It's just putting in the legwork. Yeah, no pun intended. Alrighty, humans, it's yet again getting late in Germantown. Wish you guys all the best. Have a great rest of the stream and see you next time. Have a great night, human. Thank you so much for coming in. Thanks for giving our chickens sunglasses. Thanks for being a bro. And glad you're getting a little bit better, recovering. And let me give a little shout out to a regular human real fast, since I feel like I shouted you out the other day, but you know, if you're gonna make chickens for us, you're gonna get another one. So go check out Human. He's another game dev working on more of a horror game. It's very cool. He does a lot of cool animations and things. Check him out. And thanks for being here. See ya. Kieran, welcome in. Welcome in. We did not add fishing. However, I think we removed some of the bugs related to not adding fishing. So at least there's that. There are still more bugs. No fishing yet, but we'll see where it goes. We did, however, add a ton of chickens, including Alfredo the Audacious, who previously was a wizard, cast the wrong sort of spell, and is now a chicken. We also have a cool chicken, which I'll need to grab manually, I think, but let's get Alfredo the Audacious. And let's grab our cool chicken. So we're going to do that by chicken for Drusif has sunglass model on it. Let's go ahead and how do we want to do this? Let's duplicate our chicken, make a cool chicken. We go in here. Let's grab these sunglasses, go into the cool chicken prefab editor, and let's reset position and put them on the chicken. The best part. Hell yeah. Coolest chicken. I don't know which chicken is cooler, actually. It might be this guy, but I like the vibe of the Gurren Lagann glasses. Alright. I think we want him just a little bit lower so he sits on the beak. Yeah, that chicken's cool as hell. This is the best chicken I've ever seen in my life. Kieran, can I go to the bathroom? Go. Thank you, Kieran. Okay, thank you. Alfredo created sunglasses to share with his closest chicken friends. You know what? Cool chicken needs a backstory. Let's see. Cool chicken. This is a chicken that received a set of prototype sunglasses from Alfredo the Audacious. He's a close chicken friend. Perfect. He looks like the famous chicken of the 80s. You know, he looks so cool. Especially once we rig him up and get things moving. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine a chicken walking with like humanoid legs? Just like bending at the knees. This guy's just strutting. He's gonna be great. We'll come back to chickens when we gotta do these animations. Moonwalking chicken, now we're talking. Alright, so we want to delete this. We should have all the prefabs we need. Let me double check these so we don't delete something on accident. This is a little sus that there's no chicken here. Oh, he's just real small. Okay, let's reset that position and everything. Chicken, sure. Why are you so disjointed? Right, gotta rotate that. Let's make him -90 even. Brain doesn't need a rotation. All right, this chicken is fine. Let's do Alfredo, make sure he's all set up, positioned not weirdly. Curious. Oh, it's because of all the billboard stuff that's up above it, which is why our anchor point is so high. That's fine. All right, and our cool chicken. Let's just reset these real fast. Sunglasses are... Ooh, we might need to bring them along, or no? Nope, they're fine, apparently. Can't believe Human just made sunglasses. Just put them in a game. What a wild thing. Alright, -90, and we're good. So let's go ahead and let's get rid of all these chickens temporarily. Because we're going to add the prefab versions. Looks like we still have a chicken there. One chicken. Chicken for Drusif. Let's also make sure we're going to Cursed Forest Hovel. Sure. Let's do a folder for wildlife. Set that as our default parent, and then we can just drag in a bunch of chickens. So let's do a little chicken explosion, I guess. Chicken. Let's make this a little bit easier to drag in. Chicken. Nice big button. So we'll drag a bunch of these bad boys in. Then we'll add Alfredo and maybe a couple cool chickens. Maybe just one cool chicken. He's a nice little Easter egg. And yeah, they should use the same brain system where they'll stop moving when the player is far enough away. So we shouldn't worry about a lot of them. Let's put a chicken over here. Let's maybe put a chicken down here. Just a little bit of variety there. And let's go ahead and bring in one Alfredo, please, and one cool chicken. All right, let's see how they look. We probably should have double checked that we turned off the thinking on all of them real fast. Surely we're not about to instantiate a ton of infinitely looping thinking brains. We'll see. Moonwalking cool chicken. We will have to make them moonwalk a little bit. I want chicken nuggets now. Dino nuggets. Not even chicken nuggets. Let's I want to double check. Where'd my chickens go? All right, so this brain, Use A is turned off. This brain, use AI is turned off. This brain, use AI is turned off. So what we could do, we could turn it on for Alfredo though. We could also give him a persona so the player could talk to him. But let's just see all these chickens at first. And you can kind of see that range too. Like the chicken way far out there isn't close enough to the player for the brain to be turned on. But as we walk out there, they'll start moving. Yeah. So we'll increase that range when like we're about to build the demo and stuff. But it's a low range right now just to make sure everything works. All right, Alfredo, I found you. It's a little wild they can still push me without a non-trigger collider. But let's see what we get when we interact with Alfredo this time. We get his autograph again. Perfect. Let's find our cool chicken as well, and then maybe we'll think about the next thing to build. Ah, cool chicken, I found you. One thing we could do is add some sort of like locking on when you interact with something. Keep them from moving while you're there, but I feel like it's probably fine to just have them continue running around for now. It's obviously a demo. So if you interact with regular chickens, you get raw chicken. If you interact with a cool chicken, you get feathers. Okay, that's fine. And I'm sure this guy is about to talk to me. Yes, yes. Right. Interesting. Would you like to buy some raw chicken, sir? Cool. So it all works. We now have chickens. One other, like, entity in the world that I was planning on adding, but I wasn't sure if I would add because it's a lot. It's a rabbit hole to go down once you start adding entities of like, all right, should the player be able to attack them and should they drop stuff, blah, blah, blah. But easily interactable, like harvestable ones, like the chickens, work really well because they run around and you catch them to harvest feathers and stuff. The other interesting things of the same sort of vibe are some of these particle effects that I found. If we get it to play, like a little ball of light, like wandering randomly through the forest would be cool. And we could set that up pretty easily. Now that we can basically just use the same brain a chicken has to have them wander around randomly. And we've got a couple different ones that would do the same. Some of them have like trails and stuff. That would be really cool to wander around in the forest, I think. Especially if we give it like a really low turn radius, so it's doing a lot of like swirlies. Maybe we'll do that next. I'm going to take a quick bathroom break, refill my water. We will be back for more, but if anybody has suggestions of things they want in next, feel free to hit me. We can add more like wildlife in the world. We've got a bunch of models for like cows and chickens and other things like that. We could add some of these like floating light enemies that, I mean, they're not really enemies, but they'll float around in the same way. They might look pretty cool, especially out in the forest. We could also add more actions for like NPCs to do, chickens to do, things like we can make NPCs jump, we can make chickens poop, we can make chickens jump, we can make the traveling merchants walk from town to town, lots of stuff like that. I'm going to take a quick break. I will be right back as soon as my cat gets to where I can see my BRB scene. Be right back. I'll be back in just 1 second. Perfect. We are back. Can we add cats? I think we have a cat model. I will check that in 1 second. One thing I just realized that we could do with the chickens and with other things as well. Right now you can interact with them forever, as many times as you want, just catch one. What I think maybe makes sense, especially as we're getting like raw chicken from them. Let's go ahead and on the chicken model, we'll set a limited harvest on them. We'll say 10 harvests. They've got 10 remaining right now. We can have them destroy the chicken when you've harvested from them 10 times. However, we can have maybe all 10 of those recharge per day in game. So if you want to like ranch or something, you want to be collecting eggs and stuff from your chickens, you just want to make sure that you're only harvesting like less than 10 times per chicken a day, and then they'll all refresh. But if you want to just keep harvesting from them, you can also destroy the chicken to clear the area, I suppose. So all those now, if you harvest from them 10 times, they will go away. You'll get that item. Or you'll get 10 of those items, and you probably need to figure out how to make more chickens, which could be another action we could do. Would it be reasonable to tie the remaining harvests to HP? That way you could give them items or potions that restore or increase harvest. Ooh, that's a good point. We could have harvesting from an object like do effectively damage from it or damage to it. And then naturally they would just like die when they're 0 or less health. And that would allow us, like we already have potions that restore health when you pour them on things. All those systems work. So it would allow you to harvest more. That might be... We have limited harvests on things like lemon trees and stuff that you can only harvest like 10 per day. But I feel like it might make more sense to switch all that to HP, because we also want to eventually allow you to like manipulate objects as you're harvesting them too. So if you like use an axe on this, you might just get lemons or whatever. But if you use like a flamethrower on it, there's a higher chance that the tree will be destroyed or something like that. So there's a lot of impact in objects coming that might make more sense to tie to like HP, because if you use an axe on a tree, you might do X amount of damage, but a flamethrower on a tree probably does a lot more. Likewise with a chicken, if you use your bare hands, it might do less HP and damage, but if you use like a pickaxe, you're going to do a lot more. So yes, it might be reasonable. I think I want to think about that, and like if we do that, I'll probably get rid of this entire like just flat harvest remaining per day, or maybe use both. Like I think I just want to think about the design and architecture, but we might come back to that next week. Let's see if we have a cat model, or let's see what other animal models we have at least. So we have a chicken. If I delete this, let's find a cool chicken. So current login. If I delete this, is it going to delete the reference to that, those glasses? It will. Crap. Okay. Right. All right, let's bring that back in, I suppose. Just gotta find it. Cool chicken for Drusif. Bring him in. All right, glasses are back. That's fine. Can we... Let's just call it glasses placeholder. Do not destroy. Do not remove. So we have chicken, deer, dog, horse, kitty, penguin, tiger. Oh, penguins will be so cool. All right, what does the kitty look like? Oh, he's cute. Yeah, we can definitely add those. They'll look a little bit... Wow, the size difference is crazy. I think they will look a little bit more obvious that they aren't animated, but we'll animate them eventually too. Let's go ahead and just do it, I suppose. Let's add some cats to maybe this settlement town, and then maybe we could do dogs in this town and do kind of a town by town thing. So if we go over here, let's say the cat's home is here. Oh, it's so cute. So this will be a good test of like how hard it is to use the systems we've just built to add more life into the game, which I would agree it probably needs. So let's go ahead and find world areas settlement town. There we go, settlement town. Let's add a folder for wildlife. Set that as our default parent. Bring in a kitty here. We could even put it, oh, it's so cute. It's so small. I feel like it probably needs to be larger, but maybe not. Maybe not. Let's not put it on the barrel because we probably want to like add jumping and stuff, and I feel like it might mess up the mesh, the nav agent stuff until we have that. So let's unpack that so we can make it a prefab. I love small kitty. Perfect, perfect. I think there's something weird about your dog, yo. Let's see what the dog... Yeah, the dog's way bigger. That makes more sense. Oh, he's not nearly as cute either. But, alright, we're doing the cat. All we gotta do with a cat is give it a brain. Easy peas. NPC brain. Give it one of those. Give it a nav mesh agent so it can walk along the ground. Give it a box collider so it can collide with things. Let's size that properly. Size. It's always so awkward trying to size things in 3D. It's so hard to know where the edges are. Let's just do this. It's a cat, so it can squeeze through things. It's a very small collider. Doesn't... These are all floating. Let's fix those real fast. It's not often I'm this low to the ground. Alright, that's floating too, dang. Is this floating? Only barely. Alright, so we have our cat. Cat has a brain. The brain needs some actions that it can do. Those actions we can do random walkabout and move closer to object and inspect object. Guess it doesn't really need to, well, we'll play animations for that. Inspect object generates memories and stuff, which I guess the cat can have, and we'll have go home. So it should be enough. Let's turn off the thinking part of the brain. Oh, I was talking about the completely white dog. This little dog here, 7. He's just a weird dog. So we don't need the debug stuff. I wonder if it's going to error if we don't have it set, but if it does, we'll just fix that because we do want that to be optional. Activation range is fine. Is deciding on action? Sure, sure, sure. Is there anything else that we need? I don't think so. What do chickens have? They've got the debug billboard, which I think is fine. Let's just add the cat too. It's fine to have. We probably want it at some point. So let's turn that on real fast so we can position it. And then let's set these references. Action, right, it's on brain. Action, actions in queue, memories made, sure, let's turn this back off. And it feels like there would be more. Oh, right. The one other thing we want is generic interactable world objects so the player can harvest from the cat too. Sorry, cutie. We'll say cutie. Alright, so let's grab our player, let's bring him over to this cat so we can see him, and let's see if we made a cat. Surprisingly quickly. Yoink. Alright, and we play. See if we have a cat. We'll put some cats out in the nature too. We could also do an action for like hide behind. And what we could do is look at where the player camera is, fire out raycasts to objects nearby, and then compute the opposite side of that object and have the cat go there. So like if there was a tree, the cat would go to behind the tree or behind this rock or behind other things. That might be kind of cool. But it looks like we have a cat running around over here. It's so small and tiny. It's also way too fast. It looks kind of like a rat. Oh, but it's cute. Now what happens when you harvest a cat with your bare hands? We will find out. And also what happens when you use a pickaxe and an axe. You know players are gonna do it. I guess we should find out. We got a furry companion. Oh. So maybe, we might want to remove the cat on harvest as well. Let's see what we get with a pickaxe, I suppose. Sorry, kitty. We get a scared kitty. Oh. This kitty is quite startled. Perhaps it needs comforting. A soft and friendly kitten that purrs when held might bring joy or assist in small tasks. Oh, alright. I guess we have to try the axe just to know. Can't click on this little guy. Come here, kitty. Come here. There we go. We gotta know. We get frightened whiskers. A small bundle of whiskers shed by a kitty in a fright. Surprisingly valuable to the right buyer. Oh no. Alright, so to compensate, what we will do is take our growth potion and we're going to go pour that on the kitty so it's nice and big and can do... Oh, we drank it ourselves. So it can do whatever it wants. Here we go. Kitty, now you are big. There you go. You're nice and big now. Sorry that I used an axe on you. Alright, so we have a kitty now, I suppose. Let's go ahead and... tweak the movement a little bit. Let's say speed of like 2. Angular speed we can bump back up 600-ish. Acceleration, let's drop down a little bit. And what we can do, let's make this one a kitten, and then we'll create another one of a cat. And we'll just scale the cat up a little bit. So we have 2 different ones that we can use. And I think we should be able to change like the materials used, maybe? Is Is this gonna get weird if I just do like a different material? Not sure. I just realized I don't think we have Spotify playing anymore. We got through all the music. All right, so let's queue up something else real fast. We got our kitty and our cat. Let's do some Ye Old Faithful, I guess. Okay, so we will probably see the kitty. Let's call it a kitten, I suppose. If one of the actions it can do is move closer to object, I would imagine we'll probably see it often picking, like move closer to object for cat, which is kind of cool. Let's go ahead and turn those into prefabs real fast. So we have kitten and cat. Let's add maybe 1 or 2 more cats in the area. Put one here. Maybe some kittens behind the church. They'll move around on their own. And then we'll put cats out in the nature as well, but we'll get to them. Will there be any anime waifus in the game? You know, there aren't currently, and part of that is just because we are bound by the models that are free or the models that we've bought. So it's a lot of like fighting game models that we've gotten. However, like what we will eventually do is have models where we are generating the persona and also like the profile pictures and like what you see when you talk to them. So it might be up to you if like we want a town building system eventually where you can build houses and more NPCs will move to town. So maybe you'll get some waifus that way, or maybe you need to use some mods, or maybe the real waifus are the items you make along the way. But there probably won't be any at the start by default for most people. But we do want to make a game that is reactive to how you play, but we also need to have a few guardrails in there. Let's look at what other animals we have, because that was apparently extremely easy to add. We could add some chickens here. And maybe we should. Like maybe let's put some chickens out here since they're free. We've already built them. We just plop them in and they work. Not cool chickens though. That's our Easter egg. Got some regular chickens out here. Eating in the fields. Maybe we got some chickens out by the water. Maybe we've got a cat out here with 3 kittens following it. Maybe we put some stuff up there, but we're just kind of filling out the wildlife for now. Let's look at the next model we have. So we've got deers. How do they look? Ooh, that'll be cool actually. That makes me want to add like ranged weapons. Let's add him in, I suppose. So I guess let's just put him near the player so we don't need to move around as much. Where are we at? Here. All right, deer. Box collider. Size that up and around. We add a generic interactable world object of a deer. we add a nav mesh agent so it can navigate around. Give it a speed a lot lower, like 1 even. Seems fine. And we need to give it a brain as well. Yo, welcome back, Tony. Hope the call went well. Mounts would be cool. I don't know if we have models, and I also haven't written any code for like mount movement, but we do want to work more on like the player movement and giving them more interesting ways to move around. So mounts would be a really cool way to do that, I think. Let's give this guy a little brain. Let's unpack him. Also, welcome back, Tony. We've added life to the game. That's kind of cool. We have those chickens. Now we have cats. We have kittens. We're adding a deer. Right now, all of them you just click on to interact. So you like harvest from them. They will probably be good candidates, some of them, for like combat targets eventually later too. But we could also use this exact same system for adding like enemies and giving them brains and deciding what actions they take and everything. So it's kind of a nice little testing ground for how hard it is to add enemies even, besides the combat system. So deer has all that, and in the brain we can just say move randomly, and you know what, maybe they could harvest. They could harvest from the ground, eat things. But I think let's just do move closer to object and inspect object. Maybe also go home. Maybe not. We want them roaming. They can go crazy. I stepped away for a second, but I think it would be cool if the cats would always follow you if you have fish on you. That's a cool idea. You'd probably need like fish in your active tool belt slot. But I guess they could just smell it in your inventory or something. Let me think about that. Patrick, good to go. But I hope you have a productive rest of your stream today. Thank you so much for being here. Always good to chat with you. So thanks for being here. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Let's think about how we can get cats to follow you based on having fish in your inventory. So we'd implement that by giving them like another action, I think. Thank you. No worries. So we could give them an action of like follow player, which is an action that we could give to anyone, or even just like follow entity might be a better one, which we could also give to like the kitten, which might often pick follow entity on like nearby cats. But if we add some logic of like follow entity to the player, we could kind of inject it in on some if the player has certain conditions met, like if they have fish in their inventory or fish in their active tool belt slot. Trying to think of how to make it generic enough that we can do it for anything. Is there a potion that turns the cat into a cat girl? Not yet. Maybe you can make one. I look forward to your stream trying to make a cat girl potion. But we could add an item affix for consumables that changes what model is being used by whatever you pour it on, like a transmog potion or something. And I don't know how we would pick the models, but could be a random model or something of this specific time it rolled. It's always you turn them into a tree, or you turn them into a frog, or you turn them into a lady. And if you get a lady potion, maybe you pour that on a cat and you have your cat girl. We'll see. Uh, damn it, another cat grill potion. What will I do with all these cats who can cook? You hire them to make food. Silly. Alright, let's see if our deer works. It might just work. It might error because we don't have the debug billboard, but let's find out once and for all. And yeah, we're getting a lot of errors because the actual NPCs in this town don't have navmesh agents, and their brains are trying to make them walk around town now because we're actually in town. So maybe we'll add those next too. But let's see this deer. Yeah, I bet it's erroring because it doesn't have the billboard stuff. But we can harvest from a deer, apparently. What do we get when we use our bare hands? Hopefully something fine. Venison? Sure. And then we could take this venison and walk over to, say, a campfire. And since it's a material, when you harvest with it, it consumes that material and gives you something different. So hopefully we'll get, like, cooked venison back. Shazam! We are cooking all of our venison. Now we've got a bunch of cooked venison, which is a consumable, which heals us immediately when you eat it and also gives you more max health for 10 minutes, it looks like. So that worked surprisingly well. Now the question is, what do we get when we use a pulley on a deer? Or a telescope on a deer? Or something that isn't going to kill the deer, hopefully. A lantern on a deer. We could also pour a growth potion on that deer. We got a lifted deer. Excellent, excellent. A deer that has been expertly hoisted using a pulley. Perfect, perfect. Let's try our telescope. We're getting a distant glimpse. A fleeting glimpse of a deer from afar. Its exact details elude you, but the memory of its presence is clear. You know, that's probably a cool item for crafting things. Like, what happens if you mix a distant glimpse with an eye of madness? Or maybe with the telescope itself. Let's also use a lantern on a deer, see what we get. We got a perspective of the wanderer. Okay, okay. Some equipment that gives us more FOV. Illuminated deer hide. That's kind of cool, actually. The hide of a deer that bizarrely glows softly. Use it to craft light-emitting gear. Don't mind if I do. We're gonna go make a full set of illuminated deer hide armor. We get a helmet. We'll get some greaves. We'll get plate legs, plate mail, and let's go with a warhammer. Glowing deer hide helmet gives us more FOV. Illuminated plate mail gives us armor and FOV. What else did we get? Luminous greaves gives us, you guessed it, FOV, which leg slot. Okay, yeah. Did we do boots? We did. Wait. Oh, right. Yeah, we didn't lock these to specific items because we're still testing it, or specific item types. So, you know, this is a good strat here, I suppose. Let's just say thanks to the deer by pouring our growth potion on it and be gone. I also like the idea, 7, of tying harvests to HP, because I feel like growth potions, specifically like changing the model size, will also scale the HP accordingly, which also means you could use it for like if you find something that only has some, like a few harvests, you could also bring growth potions to make it bigger so you can harvest more of it, which is a cool, like, emergent interaction there. But yeah, our deer works. I think we probably have errors because of those billboard things. We should go fix those because we don't necessarily want to add that debug billboard to everything. But past that, we can add nav mesh agents to all the NPCs in town. Then we'll start seeing them walking around and interacting with stuff. I think that's where things are going to get a little wild. So deer, let's see. Let's find our errors, I guess. They're going to be lost in the flood. Right here. Okay. So here's one. If text actions queued and debug is not equal to null. Sure. We can probably just search.text. Cool. So that should resolve the deer errors. Let's save it as a prefab and let's add nav mesh agents to all the NPCs. Are potions permanent or can they be? They can be permanent. Most of the ones that you'll craft aren't permanent, but if you look at the actual like schema of what can be created, I think grasshopper is technically a consumable that's permanent. So I just made this to test things, but when we generate consumable items, we generate the item and then we also generate affixes for it. And each of those affixes have effects where you specify a stat to modify, like how you change it, and then it has an application type, which for this one, for example, is immediate and permanent. That's what would give you like permanent +1 dexterity when you eat this thing. But most of them are going to be immediate and unapply later. So they're going to apply their effects now and then unapply their effects in like 60 seconds, 10 minutes, 100 minutes, whatever the scale is. But yeah, they can generate as immediate and permanent. Is there a way of curing permanent potion effects? You would need to make a potion with the opposite effect. We're not storing the actual, well, we are storing the effect on things, even if it's permanent, I think. So maybe we could add a way of like purifying or cleansing like all effects from something. Maybe like a spell the player can cast. Or maybe another item that like removes permanent effects. But right now, the only way to undo a permanent potion effect is to craft a potion with the opposite effect and then pour that on them. But they can be permanent. All right, we got our deer. Let's add him to our wildlife and let's take him out of town. But let's just go speckle in some deer throughout the world, I suppose. They're gonna be frozen in place until the player's nearby. That nearby range is pretty low right now just for testing, but we will expand it when everything's all ready. I want to keep it low while we build out all this so we're not like activating every NPC nearby while we're building and testing all this stuff. But lots of deer throughout the world. We also can add like a deer spawner or something that spawns, or like a wildlife spawner, more generic, that just spawns wildlife throughout the time, throughout the day, each night, whatever. But this will do for a quick little initial state. And these probably need to not be here, but rather Deep forest. So they're gonna be frozen. They should let it go. They should. Also, I must D&D, so I shall abscond for the time being. I'll see you later, Chief. Enjoy D&D. Thanks for the chats. Thanks for being here. I will see you later as well. Enjoy. We are gonna keep cranking. Alright, so there are more creatures that we can add. A few more at least. Ooh, we do have a horse. So we could potentially do like mounts or something. But I think what we'll do first is let's first of all check in everything we did on stream. Go watch it at and then maybe we can do a little bit better on our commits this time. So we can start adding these nav mesh agents to all of our NPCs. We can set them up with specific actions that they can and can't do. So for example, this bandit, great example, he's locked in a cage, so we don't want to give him the ability to move. So if we look at his brain, his learned actions, he could just, well, probably nothing. Interact with object, he could be harvesting. Like if there's a recipe in the game for using your bare hands on whatever this object is, he could be harvesting that all the time. And then if the NPC or if the player comes up and checks their inventory, they'll just have tons of like wood chips and stuff that they'll have gotten. We can do that. Let's do interact with object. Let's turn the brain off for that so it's just randomly chosen all the time. But he seems fine. He also doesn't even need a nav mesh because he's not going to be moving. So that seems fine. Let's look at our blacksmith. For him, we also could do everyone's starting inventories too. We've got a little bit, but I want to add more inventory stuff. But for this guy, let's give him random walkabout. Let's give him move closer to object. Let's let him interact. Let's let him inspect things. Let's let him go home. I hesitate to allow them to like initiate conversations with the player. Like it'll be really cool when they can initiate conversations with each other. But as a player, I find it so annoying when they come up and talk to me. Like, it's cool for the first time to be like, hey, he said he wanted to talk to me. But by golly, it's annoying when they talk to me and just like open a chat window with me. No thanks. So we'll leave that off for now. This guy can move, so he needs to have a nav mesh agent. So he can pathfind along the ground. Let's give him the same sort of nav mesh agent values that we're going to give everybody else. So over on Farron, he's going to need the same. We will just paste that nav mesh agent on. Let's give him actions, probably the same actions. Random walkabout, move closer to object, interact with object, inspect object, and go home. So this is where we're going to start using just tons and tons of AI tokens real fast, because all these NPCs will be active and simulating their own brain and deciding what to do. So zoologist, Nia, let's give her a nav mesh agent as well. And let's give her some actions. And I think we want to make more actions, obviously, but we can always add those in later. So move closer, interact with object, and let's just say inspect and go home. Yeah, same ones for everyone, but that's fine. So the apothecary, once again, we're going to be doing the same thing on most of these. Nav mesh agent, let's go ahead and just, I wonder if I can copy these actions? I can. All right, so let's do all of the nav mesh agents first, just so it's a little bit easier. We're not copy and pasting different things. So this guy moves, so he gets one. This guy does not move, so he won't get a nav mesh agent. Well, I guess he could. He could move. Nah, we'll keep him static. The guards at the front and back gate also doesn't move. Priest probably also shouldn't move. Our crafter, he can move, sure. An astrologer, he'll move. Yeah, he's just like visiting the church. Paste. Adventurer up in the mountains. Yeah, she should move for sure. And another guard at the base of the mountain. Yeah, he should not move. We're going to have him block the entrance to this mountain until you've done a quest for him. Whatever his quest may be. Alright, so now we can go back to these brains. And this is a pretty standard set of actions for everyone. I don't think we're missing anything. Nah. So we can copy this. And now a lot faster. Instead of having to pick each one manually, we can just... This apothecary does move. We'll just have a different... We'll remove some things when we have NPCs that don't move. So this guy also fine. He has a lot of stuff. The guard, good example. Let's come back to the ones that don't move. We'll do those in one swoop as well. So crafter moves. Chad. He looks like a Chad. Astrologer, blah, blah, blah. See ya. Oh, we copied. Oops. And the guards. All right. So let's go ahead and let's paste in what we have for everyone, and then we'll move. I guess they don't really do anything other than like start conversation, but we don't even want them moving to the player there. So they'll probably have their own action that they do eventually. But for now, maybe we don't give them any actions. So they'll just stand in place. They can be talked to. That's fine. One other thing in the code we should add is in our NPC brain, when we generate a new action to do, here, or here I mean, if they have no actions, we should also skip all this like stuff, because we're going to be pasting in personality and nearby objects, all that jazz. There's no point to it if there's no valid output. So if they have no learned actions, don't do anything. And so we will be in like a dumb loop of trying to generate queued things and then failing and then trying and failing and trying and failing. But that's probably fine. It's not bad performance hit. It's just a little bit weird to have that flow go back and forth. We could go up a level and like here also check to see if like they have options to pick from and only do this. But it's going to be a little bit weird. Let's see. So if our learned action size is 0, maybe we even just put it up here, because we want to skip over doing actions, the DMS on canceling actions if they've taken too long, and also executing actions. So yeah, we can just do that. If learned actions.count equal to 0, then return. And that lets us yoink this out, clean it up a little bit. We'll move this update function. You know what? We should probably do that now. Just private void handle actions. Handle actions. Process actions. Just say handle actions. So all this goes in here. It's all the action related stuff in the brain. We might do other stuff with the brain later. Yeah. Okay, so we could also add like a meta memory on like when an NPC cancels an action because they were doing it so long. They could have a little memory saying, last time I was trying to harvest from this rock. I just couldn't get there, couldn't do it. But it's more of a band-aid on top of bugs. We should just fix the bugs. Alright, so I think all the NPCs in town are now rigged up to think and move and talk. So let's go ahead and go in. Let's play. Let's see the cats. Let's see the NPCs moving around. The NPCs should also be harvesting from things, so we should start seeing like their inventories start to fill up. I think when we have like price fluctuations on items, it'll be really cool to see like if you get logs really easy from like interacting with a tree with your bare hands or something, then a lot of NPCs in town will have those logs, and maybe that will factor into like they'll pay less for those logs, so the player needs to be pushed out and like finding new items more often. But yeah, it looks like things are working. They're walking around. We probably want an action for just like idling in place, and that might be a really easy action to implement for figuring out how to have these actions last for a set amount of time, which is something that we still need to architect in because they're separate from the main thread. You can't really just yield in a coroutine. But it's kind of cool to see these NPCs finally moving around a little bit. This guy's a little stuck and or just working at the furnace, I guess. But probably want to make this right click. I just want to make sure that we could actually talk to him when he's over there. He might be stuck. No, we can. Okay. Cool. Who else we got? People over here walking around. Cool, cool. Right, we gotta do like the bake the nav mesh with these as obstacles and stuff like that, but they should walk around them when we just bake that nav mesh. But as we interact with things and generate those recipes, they'll also be able to interact with those same things, get those same items. So these guys can now interact with this, and then you'd see that like frayed threads in their inventory later. I mean, they're not interacting with it now, but they could. Yeah, I mean, that's our town. It's kind of alive now. Do we have cats in the center as well? Somewhere? We got some over here. They're hanging out. She's coming to see the cats. I guess the zoologist makes sense that she would decide to like walk to the cats. That's probably what she's doing. Versus everyone else is like, I don't care. And we still need to figure out how we want to do the building system. Like, sometimes you can craft items that are like a workstation that you should be able to put down on the ground. When we do that, I think that's when we'll switch over to these items. We'll switch over to have an item type, I think, that is placeable, and it'll store the object effectively within it. So when we do a thing where we interact with a kitten and we get a frightened kitten, we will pick up that kitten. It'll remove the game object kitten, but this will be a placeable object that we could then put back on the ground, place it, and it would put that game object back in the world. So that's on the to-do list. We need to figure out building system and like grids and stuff. But it's fun to see these cats playing. No. That's so cute. All right. Well, I mean, that's our town. Let's go see over here. Just poking around. So this guy moves, this guy doesn't. We can pick up the holy book. We got some kittens back here, I suppose. Pathfinding is really slow in this area. Interesting. We got more kittens. They're gonna give us the same sort of stuff. This guy's playing with the kittens, I bet. Interestingly, I don't think he has a collider on him. And neither does this coffin. Alright, we'll fix those. But I mean, it's working. Let's fix these quick bugs, and then I will probably find somebody to raid, because, you know, it's that time. And we've done great work. So this guy needs he needs a cylinder collider, is that what we call it? What's the capsule collider? He needs one of those so we can raycast correctly and talk to him. This needs a box collider, the same reason but for interacting. Good enough. Don't know why we have a floating trebuchet or guillotine inside here, but sure. Let's angle that a little bit better, I guess. Cats are hanging out with the guillotine. Cool, cool, cool. We might as well make that interactable. Guillotine. And then there was a shelf over here that I noticed was left clickable. We want to make these like furniture and things right click only. Right click only. Cool, cool, cool. Let's apply that. I know we checked into Git earlier saying we would be better with our commits, but I'm just now realizing we've done a bunch of random stuff without checking into any of it. Let's make this right click only as well. And we'll just do another commit at the end, but it's fine. Yeah, these guys didn't move, which is cool. And we were able to like harvest venison from a deer and then take that venison to the campfire to cook it. We'll also have there's a workstation in progress over here for an oven, which you can put items in and it will over time cook it as if you were basically harvesting. But yeah, I think that's a good spot for us. Been streaming almost 4 hours. Everybody's off doing their own thing, and I'm pretty happy with what we've built. I'm gonna probably just do more wildlife off stream, off camera, and we'll keep working on this. We will hopefully have a demo sometime soon. Obviously, we are making good progress on stuff, but There's still a few more systems we need. There's a whole bunch of bug fixes that are not fun to do on stream. Mostly waiting for those. And then the remaining big system, now that we have NPCs doing actions, is we want to go back and use all these actions, these memories, these context things that we've built. And we want to rewrite how the quests work. Because right now it's very, very wild in the things that they ask. And the quests could be a lot more grounded in reality. So now that we have all these systems in place, we're going to go back and rewrite some of that. But that's the last big system before the demo. Excited to get it out there, let people play in it. If you or someone you know wants to play it, just hit me up on Discord, which I just linked in the chat. And, you know, I'll get you a link, get you a Steam key, whatever you need. And I would love to watch you play it too. So demo will be out soon. And let me also link the Steam page. You can also search Steam for Elixir Emporium, and you can wishlist it there to get notified when the full game is out. So with that, I'm gonna call the stream good. We've done great things. We made a lot of progress, and it's been fun, guys. So I don't think that. Oh, I was gonna raid. There's a guy that just started streaming this week. He had just a couple viewers, but it looks like he is offline now. So we'll call it there, and we don't need to raid like Day 9, who has 1,000 viewers right now. He's the only one I'm watching that is online. So yeah, thank you all, and I'll see you guys next Tuesday for Dev. I might play some games tomorrow morning with Tony Sprocket on his stream, and I will be streaming Minecraft tomorrow evening with Cozy Biscuit, 7 of 4, the Ninja, and is that everyone? Are there only 4 of us? Minecraft tomorrow too. And I might stream on Friday. We'll see. Tony and I are thinking about doing another brainstorming stream, but you know, big schedule. We got a lot to do. Got to keep working. I will see you guys next week. Thank you.